Am I the asshole here for how I reacted when my niece announced that she was engaged? I, 33 male, have a pretty big age difference with my brother, 44 male. He had a child at 25, which means that I became an uncle at 14. Because we were pretty close in age, I formed a special bond with my niece, Ella, now 18 female. When she was 16, my brother and his family moved away, so I've been seeing them less recently, but we keep in touch and catch up at family events. Last year at Christmas, my niece told me that she had a boyfriend and told me a bit about him, but I didn't know the guy. He was invited for Easter and a couple of other events, but was never able to make it. When we were planning our mother's birthday, my brother decided to invite Ella's boyfriend so that we could all meet him. Yesterday was the birthday. I was looking forward to meeting Mark, Ella's boyfriend, but was very confused when I saw her walk in with a man that looked double her age. Spoiler alert, he is. She introduced him to me, and I politely smiled, but was deep down very concerned. I went to my brother to ask how old Mark was, and he told me that Mark is 36. So literally double Ella's age. She had told me that he was a bit older, but I assumed like early to mid-20s. Not almost 40. That's when they called us into the living room to share exciting news. Ella showed us a ring and revealed that they were engaged. I just said, "What the fuck?" And everyone turned around and looked at me like I was crazy. I told them that they were out of their minds if they thought this was normal, that there was no world in which a 30-something should date an 18-year-old, and that she shouldn't be getting married. All of them accused me of ruining Ella's happiness. Some even said that I was jealous of Mark, which is so fucking disgusting I can't even explain it. I mean, I'm younger than Mark, but never in a million years would I ever consider dating someone younger than 25. They told me that it was perfectly legal as they were both adults, which isn't true because they've been dating for a year and Ella turned 18 7 months ago, and that if they were happy, that's all that matters. I told them that they were sick for allowing this and that he was a predator, but they wouldn't listen. I know this isn't my business, but I can't help but fear for Ella. She is young and doesn't really know what she's getting into. I'm really scared of her getting married and being unable to leave him when she realizes how sick it was. I then left and slammed the door and have been receiving pretty wild messages and calls since then. I don't know if I was wrong for this and am just overreacting, and what if I wasn't wrong? I don't know what I can do to make them realize how wrong it is. Am I the asshole here? In the comments, @accomplished says, a 35-year-old going after a 17-year-old is ick. They're just far too apart in life experiences and station in life to have a relationship based on mutual respect and equality. These types of relationships are usually based on mutual exploitation. He gets a PYT, she gets access to material benefits not usually earned by people in her age group. And that's not a great thing to base a relationship on. I know I'm generalizing, and there are cases of true and healthy love between people with this kind of age gap, but my reaction is the same as yours. This likely puts you on the outs with your family, but someone had to say what you said. Krabby1 says, all of this, but I would add, Opie, tell Ella that you're sorry for how you reacted, but that you were in shock. Tell her that if you two are really meant to be, then marriage can wait. Go to college and get some life experience that will help her to be the best wife that she can be. Hopefully the delay will break them up and save a divorce lawyer. Offer to have her go to school near you. Even offer financial help if you can. The idea is to get her away from the guy and around people her own age. Break them up indirectly. If you do it directly, they will try and show you how wrong you are. Yep, at this point, OP needs to make Ella his best friend, because she will need him and she will need to know that he is there for her. I gotta know the background and groups that this entire family that OP interacted with runs in. It's just not normal to be mad at him for that reaction. Yes, it's dramatic, but that's a perfectly valid reaction, in my opinion. And if you shame him for it, and you come at him with wild messages after the fact, because he thinks that it's wrong for an 18-year-old who was 17 when she met this 36-year-old to now be engaged to them, there are multiple screws loose in those people's heads. There just are. If they truly see nothing wrong with it, then I have some redacted thoughts to share with those people. That's all I'm saying. We need to reintroduce shame into society. Definitely not the arsehole. And now, onto the update. So I've taken the past 24 hours to really reflect on all of this. I tried to take in most of the advice in the comments, and here is what I have decided. I don't think that me telling her and everyone that the relationship is weird was wrong. I do, however, think that I did it wrong, and it was pretty harsh because it was in the heat of the moment. But I still find this very creepy and don't think she should get married. What I've decided to do is, 1. Apologize to her. I sent her a text saying I was sorry for my outburst and that I should have thought it through beforehand. I told her that I never wanted to make her feel like I didn't want her to be happy and that I loved her very much and had her best interests in mind. 2. Ask her if we could talk about this. I asked if she would be okay and free to hang out and maybe get a coffee this week to talk about all of this with a clear head. I really want to try and get her to see why it's weird and that maybe marrying him is not a great choice. 3. Explain myself to my brother. I sent him a text saying that I was sorry for the way that I said it, but that I still thought that it needed to be said. I explained to him why I think Mark is a predator, and this relationship could have a very negative and damaging impact on Ella. I'm still waiting on their replies. I'll update when they reply, or when I see Ella, if she accepts, depending on how long it would take. In the meantime, I really want to thank everyone who gave me advice and was constructive, and really tried to help my niece out of this situation. I also send my best to all of the people in the comments sharing similar stories when they were the teenager getting groomed. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I really hope that you're doing better now. And now onto the second update. So, following my last post, Ella replied to me and told me that she agreed to meet with me and talk. I just came back from seeing her. Here is how it went. She asked me what I wanted to tell her, and I started explaining that I didn't think her relationship was very healthy and that no older guy should want to date a teenager. I told her that she was an incredible woman, so I wasn't saying that it was weird to want someone to marry her, but that guys my age normally shouldn't even look at a teenager. She wasn't convinced and said that sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's okay. I asked her how she would feel if I told her that someone born today could be her future partner, and she said it felt really weird. I also asked her if she would consider dating someone younger than 15, and she said no. I could see her starting to realize that Mark maybe didn't have the best intentions. I also asked her if she knew about his previous relationship, and she said vaguely, and just told me the girl's name. I asked her if she knew how old the girl was, and she said she was 21. I also asked her if she knew that their relationship overlapped, and she said that Mark always told her that he was single since they met, but she kind of felt like that wasn't true. I told her that since his previous girlfriend was also significantly younger, it seemed like he had a thing for younger girls, which is kind of weird. After discussing that, she told me a bit more about her relationship. She told me she was starting to feel weird about it because of Mark's recent behavior. I asked what she meant, and she said that he's been flirting with a lot of girls, who were all also younger, including some of Ella's friends. When she confronted him, he sort of gaslit her into thinking that it wasn't flirting. He was also making a lot of comments about having children with Ella and how cute it would be to see her raise them. She told me she was absolutely not ready for that, and also wanted to go to college and work and not be a stay-at-home mom. Because of all of that, she was doubting her relationship, and I told her that I understood. She said she was scared of breaking up with him because he had become her whole life recently, and she didn't know what she would do without him. I told her that she was surrounded by people who loved her and would be there for her, and that she was a lot more than just Mark's girlfriend. I said that she knew my opinion on it, but that ultimately, the choice was hers, and that I just wanted her to be happy. I also said that I would be there for her no matter what. She told me that she'll try to break up with him this week, and she'll let me know how it goes. Also, again, thank you to everyone who gave advice and tried to help us. I truly appreciate it. And now, onto the third update. I know it's been a while since I posted the last update, and a lot of people have been requesting updates on the whole situation, but until now, I hadn't really received any news. So please forgive me if this update took a while to come. Since my conversation with Ella, I would check in on her once or twice a week and ask how things were, and she'd always tell me pretty much the same as what she told me a month ago. Basically, there were many red flags, and she was getting more and more uncomfortable in her relationship, but she also didn't know how to break up with him. I tried to give her some advice, but eventually told her that I thought that she should do it when she felt comfortable. Yesterday, I called her to know what she had planned on Christmas and asked if she'd be coming to the Christmas dinner that I was hosting and if Mark would be coming. That's when she told me that she had broken up with him the evening before. She was pretty shaken up, so I didn't ask for too many details and asked if she wanted to come to my house for a while. She said that Mark had left to stay with his family when she told him, so she was okay staying home. This is maybe not a very detailed update, but here's what I know. She told me that he had been getting angry at her all week for small things, and when they were talking about Christmas, and he insisted that they shouldn't go with Ella's family and instead spend a week with his family because they see them less often, as they live out of state, and after that, he made a comment about how he hoped that the next year as a present, they could give his mother a grandchild. And Ella said that's what really made her break up with him, and she also told me that she would be coming alone for Christmas. I don't know what she told him or how he reacted, and maybe she'll tell me more in a while when she feels better. And if not, I won't ask her to. If I get more information, I'll edit this post, but for now, that's it. Again, thank you to anyone who gave advice and tried to help with this situation. And now, onto the final update. I know it's been months since my last update, and to be honest, I logged off Reddit and completely forgot about it. My niece and I were just reminiscing about everything that happened, and I decided to show her the posts I had made back then and the comments. She read a lot of it and wanted me to thank all of the people who were kind and gave advice or tried to help her. She also told me to tell all of the people who shared similar stories how sorry she was that it happened to them. Some people were also asking for updates, so we wanted to let you know what the situation was. Since she's broken up with him, Mark has tried to come back multiple times, apologizing for the things he said and trying everything to win her back. He was very insistent, but she never took him back, and I'm really proud of her for that. She managed to find a nice apartment and has cut all contact with him. I guess you could say that all's well that ends well. It wasn't easy, but Ella has been strong, and now she's happier than ever, which is the only thing that matters. Thank you to everyone who helped and supported her. Your kindness means a lot to the both of us. Wishing you all the best. In the comments, Far Season says, "Good to hear. Did anything happen with your bro or family, i.e. they apologized or agreed with you?" OP says, "They didn't apologize directly, but they had a big conversation with Ella, and she told them about all of the things that she realized were really weird and disturbing in the relationship, so I guess it opened their eyes, and they now agree that it really wasn't a normal relationship. Everything is good with them now." Corfiz says, "You should wear an 'I told you so' or 'alternative site is always right' t-shirt to every family dinner for the rest of the year." I'd do that. That'd be fun, because OP was right, and just because someone has a big reaction doesn't mean that they're wrong for doing that. Oh no, I'm gonna control my emotions because something seriously depraved is going on, but I'm also gonna stamp out anyone else's big reactions that they have to this seriously depraved situation, because how dare they? Hell nah. I think what OP did was correct. They also took the constructive criticism of everyone else and actioned the advice that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. This feels like another one that they should absolutely pounce on. Gotta have an 'I told you so' award shirt. Every family dinner, every family event, just really rub it in. I think that is the least the rest of that family deserves for the way that they defended this man. Get to it, OP. Godspeed. Thank you for the story. My boyfriend's sister's boyfriend saw me naked. I, 22 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 23 male, for a while now. We get along really well with his sister, 20 female, and her boyfriend, 23 male. Recently, we all rented an Airbnb together for a few nights. One afternoon, I was lying face down on the bed completely naked in our room. At some point, I turned around and saw my boyfriend's sister's boyfriend standing there looking at me. He acted surprised and said he was told that it was okay to use the bathroom in our room, but I couldn't help but shake the feeling that he'd been standing there longer than I realized, watching me. He saw everything. At first I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was overreacting, but since then, I've started noticing little things that are making me uncomfortable. He's touched me unnecessarily, like when walking past, he'll put his hand on my back or shoulder. It's subtle, but it doesn't feel innocent to me. I've not told my boyfriend or anyone else, but I'm starting to feel weird around this guy. It's like he fancies me, and after seeing me naked, he's being more bold in small, creepy ways. I don't know if I'm overthinking or if I should bring it up, but it's been stuck in my head and I needed to get it off my chest. In the comments, Appropriate Pin says, "Nah, tell your boyfriend before something worse happens. Many predator-like men will continue this behavior and it will get worse. The only way this stops is when your boyfriend takes his brother out to the tree line." And OP says, "Yeah, I just didn't want to cause a scene with my boyfriend and his sister." This scene has already happened. I tell both your boyfriend and sister together to keep everyone on the same page. If you don't tell them, her boyfriend might think you're okay with keeping secrets and try something with you. At least if you tell them, they know the truth, and he knows you're gonna tell them when things like that happen. I would instantly scream, oh my god, I'm sorry," and cover my eyes while turning around. That's not normal behavior. You need to tell your boyfriend. If he was normally a touchy person, you would have noticed earlier. Not every guy is a villain, but trust your gut. It's often right to trust it. OP says, "Yeah, I just wanted to be sure before causing a scene." Sushi Koven replies, "We grow up being taught not to make a scene, behave, and to shut up. Our gut is right so many times. If you can feel he's behaving different now after that incident, trust it. And it's not causing a scene if you really feel uncomfortable with him. Tell your boyfriend and sort it out. You don't want to let it slide and end up in a really bad situation." Yeah, you do have to tell him in this situation because he's taking it as a sign to escalate his behavior, and we know how that turns out. There's been plenty of stories. The one that comes to mind is the one with the yoga instructor guy that came and slapped the ass of OP. Like, he was so bold that he's like, "Oh no, it's PT instruction, and I'm definitely not a creepy weirdo. It's everyone else that has a problem." Like, no. Sometimes people are just straight up creeps, and it's okay to shame them, and it's okay to tell your boyfriend that he did this, it wasn't okay, he's a creep, he needs to be taken out to the tree line and dealt with, and that you're not going to put up with it. It's okay to have a spine in situations like this. You have permission, OP. And now, onto the update. Today, I confronted him. I pulled him aside and asked directly, did he stand there on purpose? And why has he been acting like this ever since? He tried to play dumb at first, and then admitted that he might have stood there longer than he should have, but immediately flipped it on me. He basically tried to gaslight me, saying I was lying there like that on purpose, and that I gave him signals, so he thought I liked him. Can we kill him? It completely threw me, but I stood my ground. I told him I'm with my boyfriend, I've never led him on, and his behavior has made me uncomfortable, full stop. He did apologize after that, but it honestly felt more like damage control than anything sincere. He promised to back off, so I'm hoping that ends it. But I'll be keeping my guard up. For now, I haven't told my boyfriend, as I don't want to cause unnecessary drama, but I'm watching the situation closely. If anything else happens, I'll tell him straight away. Appreciate all the advice on the first post. It made me realize I wasn't overthinking. Hopefully this puts an end to it. In the comments, Aubergine Forest Green says, "You are protecting this man. By not telling someone, you are giving them a chance to manipulate the situation. The fact that he's dating your younger sister and he's perving on you is gross. You're not giving your sister agency for herself to decide if she is okay with it. This is a guy she trusts and is intimate with. Stop worrying about drama happening. He's the one who ruined things, and your boyfriend and sister will start to see signs. Signs that might make them think that you're cheating with each other. If they find out later, they will feel betrayed that you kept it a secret. Correction, your boyfriend's sister, but this still applies either way. People deserve to know if their partner is cheating. So, you didn't listen to any advice from your original post, and someone actually predicted that he would turn this back on you. If you don't tell your boyfriend, he definitely will, so I hope your boyfriend is secure in your relationship, or he will wonder why the hell you didn't immediately tell him, and the excuse of not wanting to cause unnecessary drama won't be enough. Stop avoiding the drama. Your boyfriend's sister's boyfriend crossed a serious line, and your boyfriend and his sister need to know about it. You know, sometimes it takes a few pushes to get someone to do the right thing for themselves, lest this be a situation where they learn inaction is actually the wrong thing, and not causing a fuss will bite them in the ass, because then the one doing harm, the one doing damage, gets the opportunity to spin the story against you, and they get away with their crime. I hope that OP turns this one around and gets the story out there before that happens, but hey, who knows? They have not come back with their side of the story yet, so thank you for that one, OP, and good luck. Our next post is by user NoAd6500, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for reporting a crying baby to HR? I'm second-guessing my decision to report to HR. There's a person in my building who brings their infant to work with her, and it cries and screams and fusses, as babies do. She does not close her office door, but she leaves it open like an echo chamber resounding through the halls. It's incredibly difficult to focus on anything at all with a crying baby in your ear. Closing my door helps a bit, but we have a culture of leaving doors open to signal that you're available for an impromptu meeting. I leave mine open about half of the time. I decided today that something's gotta give. I do not know her, and we do not work for the same department. I work in an office with a lot of touchy personalities and egos. I was not confident that I could simply ask her to close her door without setting off World War III, either with her individually or between our co-located departments. Instead, I sent a very nicely worded email to HR asking if someone can send her an anonymous request to please kindly keep her door closed while she has her baby with her. I assume the woman has some kind of reasonable accommodation for having the baby at work, but now I'm second-guessing myself. What if she doesn't and isn't supposed to have the baby with her? Did I just tell on her? I'm feeling quite sheepish about it at the moment. Should I have tried to resolve this myself? HR has already responded with an emphatic, "Good job on bringing this to HR, as this is an HR issue and not something to handle yourself." But I still feel like maybe I'm the asshole here. In the comments, Aggressive Desk says, "Not the asshole. You didn't march in there and say, 'Get that baby out of here.' You didn't slam her door shut mid-wail. You didn't CC her boss or post on Slack like, 'Hey, whose baby is this?' You went through the exact channel that you're supposed to. HR even gave you a gold star and said, 'Yes, this is our thing.' That's not tattling, that's procedure. That's literally what they're paid to handle. You've said it all. When the baby is crying, it's too hard to focus. She did the right thing by reporting it to HR, not the asshole." Agreed. Hijacking to add that if OP or anyone else with this door culture wants to still show they're open to people approaching but enjoy the noise blocking of the door, they could try a double-sided sign hung on the door. Side A, green, feel free to knock and come in to ask stuff, I just have the door shut for noise blocking, and side B, red, focus time. Please wait or Slack/email for non-urgent stuff. If she was bringing the baby to work on the down low, you'd think that she'd be a bit more proactive about making sure that it wasn't drawing attention, i.e., shutting her office door. I don't work in an office environment like that, but I would like to thank OP for doing the right thing and coming to Reddit, because without her, how am I supposed to have low-stakes drama? You know, this actually is the end of the world if you think about it. If there is a baby crying in my office, how is the company gonna profit? This damn baby is hurting company profit margins, and for that, the baby is the arsehole. We should exile it from society, perhaps. Like, look at you showing off that you can afford to have a baby in this day and age. God, my anti-natalist complaints know no bounds, huh? To my chagrin, a baby is in the building. Oh, the largesse of that woman to have a baby, huh? No, I'll be serious. But yeah, not the arsehole OP. I don't know why you'd think you're an arsehole for that one. I get not being a combative person and how that can make you second guess things. But in this instance, you did the right thing. Good on ya. And now, onto the update. I really struggled with whether this was the right thing to do. I was thinking, what circumstances must a person be in that bringing their baby to work is their best option? I thought about coming back to HR to sort of cancel the complaints. But then she just kept bringing the crying baby in. And it would be silent for a couple of hours, and then it would go off for an hour, or 10 minutes, or 40. You just never knew how long it would go on, or how frequent. Every 2 minutes? Every 15? Even an hour would pass and then it would start up again. I noticed every time I walked past her office, she was engaged with the baby and not her work. I noticed that she only comes in from about 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and leaves for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the day to walk the baby around outside. I noticed how shot my productivity is, even with the door closed. I realized that I'm getting paid to do a job out of taxpayers' money. We all are, and we are all underperforming because this one person is bringing their infant to work. HR took it very seriously, and even when I backpedaled, they said they're required to look into it when children are being brought to the campus. Today, they are nowhere to be heard. Her door is closed, and I got more done this morning than I had in 3 days last week on my project. I feel I did the right thing, and now that I've noticed her patterns, I think this person is unfairly taking advantage of their relatively unsupervised job in more ways than one. I won't be saying a thing about all that, though. I'm just glad the crying is gone. In the comments, Harry Proof says, "Unless you're working at a daycare, she has no business bringing a baby to the office. It is a huge liability. It's allowed at my work, but I felt I couldn't focus. Totally heartbreaking making that decision, but I haven't brought him to work with me. I know I couldn't focus, and nobody else could either." OP not escalating this to a brawl is a testament to their patience. I can't imagine a worse sound to try to work to. I think the part that frustrated me the most is that we never found out precisely why the baby was there in the first place. Is remote not an option? There was no one who could provide childcare? What was the plan before the baby? Why was this even allowed or approved from the beginning? Having an infant on site has to be an insurance liability, right? Just from a CYA perspective, I'd assume management wouldn't want this situation on their plate. Regardless, everything else notwithstanding, I hope that the lady and her child found a workable solution, for the child's sake, if nothing else. Me too. There's a lot of questions that we can ask about the situation. And for me too, yeah, what was the plan before the baby? Obviously, I was taking the piss in my initial reaction to this one, but I would love to know what her side of the story is and why she had to have the baby there. Why, yeah, there was no one else that could provide childcare. Seems like there were so many missteps and circumstances that led to the continuous choice to bring the child to work that I would be as infuriated as a lot of the people in the comments are. It's interesting to me that OP is so non-confrontational in this one, that they just seem like, oh my god, thank god this is over, and not like, god damn it, this pissed me off, get this goddamn baby out of my workplace, I'm not getting anything done, and I'm gonna punch a hole in the wall. That's how I imagine a lot of the keyboard warriors in Reddit would be, and everyone is entitled to their reactions to that. But thank God OP found a solution to this one and showed us that sometimes you just need to go to HR, and sometimes HR will listen. Thank you, OP. Our next post is by user Legitimate Coats, and it's titled, "Am I overreacting? My coworker harasses me about my masculinity and DM'd my wife. I'm currently dealing with a work situation that I, 28 male, need advice on. Before work, I go to the gym about every other day. I'm hardly shredded, but I've got enough that you can see my muscles when I come into work in short sleeves. I wouldn't describe myself as a gym bro or a gym rat. I really just go for my overall health. Anyways, I work in an office with maybe 25 to 30 people that work there. We mainly do business-to-business sales and supply. Not really relevant to the story. Anyway, I get to work one day wearing a polo, and a couple of girls and guys in the office were asking me if I'd been working out recently, and I told them that I had. It wasn't flirtatious or anything like that. I think that they were just giving me a friendly compliment. Plus, I'm married. But as we're discussing me working out, my coworker Gary, 40s male, walks in. Gary is a lot. He's one of those guys who constantly talks about how much he benches, his gains, and generally just tries to project this super intense alpha male image, which is annoying, but none of my business really. This is where the problem starts. Someone asked me what my max bench was. I told them honestly, and Gary, who was lurking nearby, scoffed loudly. He then proceeded to tell me, in front of like 5 other coworkers, that my number, 170, was pathetic, and that I clearly wasn't a real man or an alpha. He then went on a tirade about how men need to be strong and dominant, etc., etc. It was super uncomfortable. I tried to just laugh it off and change the subject, but it didn't work. And since then, it's gotten worse. Every single day, Gary makes some kind of comment. If I'm getting coffee, he'll ask if I'm strong enough to lift the pot. If I'm walking to my desk, he'll flex and ask if I'm inspired yet to hit the weights like a real man. I've tried ignoring him, giving him short answers, even politely telling him to knock it off. But nothing works. He just laughs and says that I need to grow a thicker skin. Then, this is where I start to lose my shit a little. My wife, 27 female, texted me a screenshot yesterday. It was a DM from Gary. It was a picture of him flexing in the mirror with some ridiculous caption about being a true alpha and how real women know what's up. Summarizing, but you get the sentiment. He'd somehow found her on social media and sent her this unsolicited picture and message. I was beyond furious. I wanted to march over to his desk and punch him, but I knew that would only make things worse. I'm starting to dread coming to work. It's constant, it's demeaning, it's making me feel genuinely small and uncomfortable, and now he's involving my wife. Am I overreacting to this? Is this just typical guy banter that I'm not getting? Should I just suck it up and ignore him, or is this actually something worth addressing with HR? I feel like if I tell HR, it might just add fuel to the fire, but if I come down to his level and respond violently, I'll lose my job. In the comments, Embarrassed Cap says, HR should have been involved a long time ago. Be advised, he will pursue the wife angle more aggressively than ever. OP replies, that's my concern, just that it'll make him want to escalate things further. Serious Swan replies, why don't you just post the picture here and we'll all roast him? And also probably in like a couple of months he'll get doxxed and lose his job after a bunch of people call and tell his boss a bunch of crazy lies. OP says, I did in one of the comments if you check my comment history. And here it is. Hey! Wife says, do I know you? He says, I work with blank. If you're looking for a real man, let me know. He wouldn't know what to do with you. No idea why you're with such a weak man. Oh yes, and what a shining example of incredibly average masculinity that he has there. Emergency Week says, this guy is a ball of insecurity. If he thinks he's in such great shape, why does he hide his belly? He DMs your wife? If he's such an awesome alpha, why is he single? You got your girl, and you mentioned that a coworker Mr. Spaghetti Arms might have a crush on, gave you a compliment about your fitness. You're succeeding, and he can't even get out of the starting gate. Being told something repeatedly makes you start to believe it, and he got into your head. But stop and really analyze what you've got going for you. Wife, respect from coworkers, healthy lifestyle, friends, and what he has going for him. A job, healthy lifestyle, badgering coworkers, not in a romantic relationship. He turned himself into a punchline and he doesn't even know it. I thought he would be way buffer than that. What the hell? This dude's shredded for a 17-year-old. I only poke fun because he's trying to unjustifiably make it his entire identity. DMing your wife is so unbelievably outrageous that I couldn't even fathom a response if it were me. Definitely show this to HR. Not only just so this gets rectified, but so that it protects you. I saw in another comment that you said maybe you'd let him attack you? What? You'd let him attack you? What do you mean? HR will just fire you both for an altercation like that without you showing evidence of things beforehand so that they can do what they're supposed to do and remove him before something like that happens. And back up to the post, there is a very small update. I'm going to take this to HR tomorrow. Thank you guys for letting me know the severity of this. I just can't fathom what I've just experienced. What? What do you mean I'd let him attack me? Are you out of your mind? Yes, I'd let the both of us get fired to prove that I actually am masculine in the workplace. What a fucking stupid idea. Please shoot that idea out of your head, OP. Not literally, just metaphorically. And what an absolute loser. Absolute depraved loser behavior to genuinely go and message your wife with a thirst trap of him. Bro, that's his wife. Oh, look at my cool race car bed that I sleep in every night. I'm sure some other man's wife wants to share the race car bed with me. Oh my god, I can't believe that OP took him seriously enough that he had to come to Reddit to ask about it when surely the obvious answer is just to go to HR and be like, here's all the evidence, get rid of this loser. But I applaud you for bringing it to Reddit, OP. I'm not putting you down for that one. The only thing I'm going to put you down for is thinking that you're going to fight him. Don't do that. That's so stupid. Don't get down to his level when you have so much more to lose than him. It's not worth it. But regardless, good luck with that situation. And I hope we get to hear about the violent confrontation that erupts as a result of this. Thank you, OP. Very cool. Am I the asshole if I don't tell my gay son about this part of my past? Hi everyone. I'm new to Reddit, so I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm a 53-year-old dad to 3 kids, including a wonderful son that is 16. For the sake of anonymity, I will call him Ethan here. I will also try to keep it as short as possible. Basically, my son is 16 and he came out a few days ago. I reacted very badly. I cried and basically locked myself in my room for a day straight, but not because he is gay. I do not care about his homosexuality by itself. I love him so much, and I've always been very supportive of gay people. I think even in the 90s, when it was not as accepted as it is now. I even had a gay brother who was 2 years younger than me. And my breakdown to my son's coming out happened because of what happened to him. He was gay. My favorite person in the world, my best friend, my confidant. A bit scrawny lol, but he had a heart of gold. Genuinely the kindest person on earth. But some people decided that him being gay was enough to hurt him. 3 guys attacking my baby brother because he looked at them weird. I was there. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't do anything except call the police, and only 1 guy got caught. And yet the police did nothing. That's what happens when the victim is a gay kid in Nebraska farmland, I guess. Anyway, they got away with it, even though my brother got missing teeth, a twisted wrist, and 2 broken ribs. He stayed in the hospital for 3 days. The next day that I went to check on him, he had overdosed, and I still haven't been able to finish his letter. He was 19. And basically, I never got over it. I still cry myself to sleep some nights when I'm alone, even more than 30 years later, and my son looks so much like him. I swear sometimes I wonder if he isn't reincarnated or something, and everything that I told you, I haven't been able to tell anyone. Not my wife, not my kids, not my gay son. They know my brother died and that I don't talk to my parents, but not what exactly happened to him, and that I disowned my parents because they were relieved that they wouldn't have to hide their gay son anymore, and I don't know how to tell them. It's already hard enough to type this with very few details to strangers on the internet. I don't think I'll be able to tell the ones I love, if especially they ask for details. I'm broken. I know that. But I don't know what to do. I know my son deserves an explanation, but every time I see him, I want to cry. He must think I hate him, and that breaks me even more. But I just don't know how to say it without breaking down completely. What should I do?" In the comments, Important Point 8222 says, "Show him this post, or write him a letter. Sometimes you can't verbally express hard things. You were not the asshole, but need to communicate with him in some form or fashion. Much positivity coming your way from me. I know that has to be hard to think about day in and day out." Aliana D says, "This is the way to tell him your story without actually talking about it. It needs to happen, otherwise there's a strong risk he thinks your reaction is one of not accepting him. You can close by reiterating that you can't bring yourself to speak about the events, so if he has questions, just, I don't know, pop you a text?" Yeah, at this point his son is totally under the impression that OP's response is to him coming out. Dad needs to rectify this ASAP or he is the asshole. His immediate response is understandable, but his kid doesn't know or understand. I hope he gathers himself and does the right thing soon, or we're gonna see a post about, "I came out to my parents and my dad had a mental breakdown." Am I the asshole? Yeah, OP didn't mean to, but he probably just traumatized his son and badly hurt their relationship. OP needs to explain this somehow to make it right, or things will never be right with his son, and he may even lose him. Honestly, I think he should explain it to the family for his sake as much as theirs. If I was OP's spouse, I would be considering if I needed to divorce based on their reaction. How OP does it is up to them, but OP just let their unresolved trauma shake their whole family. Wow. You've been carrying that trauma alone for way too long. Time to get some help. Talk about your brother, your heartbreak, your loss, and the love. Tell your son that you love him and that he is perfect as he is. When you're ready, you should tell Ethan about his uncle. Thinking of you and sending love from this internet stranger. 1000% this. Holding on to the trauma is going to mess up their relationship. I'm in agreement with them too. I think you're not an asshole based on the information you have given. I completely understand why you reacted the way you did, but if I think about it from their perspective and how limited information is for them, it's got a sting to see that kind of reaction, and then I'm going to assume complete stonewalling for at least a few days from you. They really do deserve an explanation for why you acted the way that you did, and no one is going to judge you for that. And if anyone does judge you for it, then you got to evaluate whether that person is worthy of being in your life. Any sane person would see the reaction that you had and the explanation for it and be like, Jesus, that is rough. I completely understand why you reacted the way you did. But yeah, with all of that in mind, please do the right thing, not the arsehole. And now, onto the update. Hello everyone. If you don't remember me, I posted 2 days ago about my son's coming out and my terrible reaction because of my gay brother's death. Your comments helped me realize a lot of things. I have been deeply traumatized by my brother's death, and I need to see a therapist, but more importantly, I owed my family, especially my son, an explanation and an apology. So I decided to tell them. I'm still really emotional right now, so I apologize if I don't really make any sense. First, I told my wife. I wanted to have someone by my side when telling my son. I don't think I would have been able to otherwise, as it's still too hard to say out loud. I followed your advice and showed her this post. She cried a lot and told me that I should have talked about it a long time ago. She said she was contemplating mentioning divorce to me if I didn't change because she thought I was being so hateful, but now she felt terrible. I told her it wasn't her fault and that I should really apologize to Ethan. I didn't want to show him this post because it didn't feel enough given all the harm I caused, so I decided to write a letter to him, my wife standing by my side all along. I told him I couldn't say it out loud because it hurt too much. apologized for how I reacted, and explained to him that he hadn't done anything wrong. Then I explained to him exactly what happened with my baby brother, gave some more details I don't feel comfortable writing again, told him how much I loved him and that I was so sorry for not showing it recently because of my insecurities, that I'm so proud of him for coming out and that I will love him and support him always, no matter what. After this, I gave my son the letter without a word. I actually tried saying something, but nothing came out. So Ethan grabbed the letter and went to his room to read it. I was honestly having a panic attack in my wife's arms when Ethan barged into our room crying and hugging me really tight. He said he was sorry for my brother and that he didn't know, that he was glad I still loved him because he genuinely started to think I really hated him right now. I think that's what broke me, because I realized how I let my trauma make me a terrible father and let it stain my relationship with my boy. Well, my son is doing better now. Today, my son smiled at me for the first time since he came out. I'm planning on taking him to the movies tonight, just the two of us. Also, as you all suggested, I booked a therapy appointment. I need it. I haven't slept at all because whenever my mind goes blank, I either remember when I found my brother or when Ethan told me that he thought that I really hated him now. I need to get this fixed so I can finally live my life instead of pretending everything is all right. I've kept this all bottled up for so long, I need to let it go now. Thank you so much, everyone. In the comments, New Introduction says, "This is beautiful, and I'm glad you did this." One more example of how important communication is. Being able to manage emotions and reflect on what led us to act the way that we did. We fully support you and are proud of this step you've taken. This is such a sad story, but I'm so glad that OP realized he had to face his trauma for his son and actually did it. If he had continued as he was, he would have lost his family for sure. Facing trauma like that can feel like moving a mountain, but I imagine it's such a weight off his shoulders already. Hopefully he can start to really heal now. We love people who recognize their shortcomings and actively try to better themselves. I hope OP can work through his trauma. And I hope that OP finds a good therapist. He's spent way too long in pain, and he almost compounded it here by making his son think he hated him. Also, shout out to OP's wife, who was about to make the right choice between her son and OP when she thought that OP was a homophobe. This is a good family, and they're going to come out of this much stronger. Absolutely. Thank you for, being open with us, at least, OP, to start off with. Because I can't imagine how this would have gone down had you not been able to tell someone about it. It really just feels like a lot of those nightmare breakup stories that we do get on here, where people do just straight up divorce. We never exactly get to identify why the other party is doing what they're doing. I'm glad that things are looking up for you now. I really am happy that you did take everyone's advice on board and didn't just shut everyone out. Wishing nothing but the best for you guys going forward. Thank you. Our next post is by user AbleRoom6109, and it's titled, "Am I overreacting? My girlfriend's dream journal is actually a daily log of my activities. I'm asking to see if I'm the one who's completely lost my mind here. My 28 male, girlfriend 25 female, has this dream journal that she's always writing in. I thought it was cute. Expressing her inner world and all that. She claims that it can help her understand her subconscious, which made sense to me. Anyway, last night she accidentally left it open on her bedside table. I wasn't trying to snoop, but a page was open and a phrase caught my eye. 10:17 a.m., he got coffee with 2 sugars, just like I knew he would." Oh god, that's crazy. Bro, run. Just run. My stomach dropped. I glanced at another entry, 3:45 p.m., called his mum, sounded a little stressed. Must remember to bring up the job thing later. It wasn't a dream journal, it was a play-by-play of my day. Every single entry was about me. My movements, my conversations, even ones she wasn't present for. My habits. It was incredibly detailed, almost like a surveillance log. I haven't confronted her yet because I'm genuinely trying to figure out if this is some bizarre form of affection that I'm not understanding, or if I should be calling my therapist and maybe looking into changing my locks. Am I overreacting by feeling deeply, deeply creeped out? Is this a normal girlfriend thing? Am I just too dense to grasp? Or is this a massive red flag waving in my face? Like, I really like her and haven't had any major issues with our relationship. She's like the sweetest person ever and hasn't shown any signs of being crazy, but now I'm a little scared for my safety. What do I do? In the comments, Whoa Brad says, if it was me, when she's in the middle of writing, I'd ask her what she's writing about. Tell her you noticed as she was watching you as she wrote, and it honestly looked like she was writing about you. If she lies and says no, what's the point in continuing the relationship? If it's a bit of a baited test, which isn't a nice thing to do, but it'll at least tell you if she's a liar or not, and if not, she'll tell you what she's doing and why. But even if she's lying out of embarrassment, then she doesn't really trust you. But is fine chronicling way too much of what you do? In my opinion, she's got to come clean to salvage this in any way. Flip the script. If a guy did this to his girlfriend, it would be perceived as incredibly creepy and invasive. OP says, this might be the best way to approach this. I'm gonna try this later. Maybe it'll lead to a reasonable explanation. I'll provide an update later. You definitely need to ask her about it and why she would lie/conceal it. But you're not overreacting because I personally would feel so weirded out and constantly watched. Not sure if things can ever feel the same again, but how long have you guys been together? When did she start doing this? OP replies, I can't remember exactly when she started doing it, but I do remember thinking that it was a little weird when there would be times that she would be writing in her dream journal long after she woke up. We've been together for 2 years and living with each other for 1. Interesting Loss says, maybe she's scatterbrained and trying to be attentive and considerate by writing things down. It could be that doing that writing brings her comfort or soothes anxieties. You really never know until you have a calm, rational discussion while bringing up any concerns or grievances that you have with it in delicate, non-confrontational manners. I've been married for like 17 years, and the number of rifts we've had over miscommunication has dwarfed all others over the years. Just talk with her. What she's doing is almost stalker-level weird. Yeah, for real, I have anxiety, and writing things down is just soothing sometimes, even if it makes me look crazy. People really need to start learning the difference between inner thoughts/external actions, because how she actually treats him should matter so much more. Man, this is such a hard one, but I'm still of the thought that if the shoe was on the other foot, if we flipped the genders in this situation, I'd be like, get the hell out of there. You are living with your stalker. This is incredibly weird behavior. No, his anxiety is not going to explain it. I don't think that this is a situation in which communication saves the day. If it were me, this is the 3rd strike. You didn't even have 3 strikes and you're out, but you've hit the 3rd strike and created this universe in which I am severely creeped out by your activities. I would love to know what crazy little gaslighting explanation you have to explain this behavior, but for me, anyone that does this, immediately getting cut out of my life. That is so weird. I already have one CIA agent that watches me through my webcam. I don't need to live with another one in the flesh, alright? And now, onto the update. I followed the advice of user WoBrad35, which suggested that I ask her what she's writing about while she's in the middle of writing. I was on the couch reading a book when I noticed her writing in her journal from the other couch. I asked her what she was writing about and why she was writing her dream journal when she hadn't even gone to sleep yet. She told me that she doesn't always use it for dreams and sometimes uses it as a regular diary. I didn't feel like lying, so I just admitted that I had glanced at it earlier and noticed that she was logging my daily activities. Her face got about as red as a tomato, and she got real quiet for a minute. She said that she knows how bad it looks and that her journal is meant to be a relationship sync journal, as she called it. She says that humans rarely scratch the surface of truly understanding each other, even when they're in relationships. She says her goal is to achieve a deep and intuitive connection with me. Basically, she wants to instinctively know my moods and behaviors so she can be the best partner possible, which explains the entry about me putting 2 sugars in my coffee, which I don't even think I paid attention to how many sugars I put in my coffee. To me, that sounds like I want to train you like my little puppy dog and figure out what I can do to subconsciously manipulate your behavior. Genuinely, does anyone else feel that? She thinks that will lead to us having an unbreakable bond. It sounds absolutely insane, but when she was explaining it, some of it made sense, I'm not gonna lie. She made it sound like the sweetest thing ever, but if she truly wanted us to be in sync, why didn't she ask me to also track her movements? How does this strengthen our connection if she knows me to this extreme of an extent when I don't know her to that extent? Part of me almost wishes that she just said that she was stalking me, but this explanation almost leaves me feeling more confused. I'm torn. Is this a good explanation, or is this just her justifying obsessive and crazy behavior? Update 2. First off, I want to clarify a few things based on the comments from my last post. It was overwhelming trying to respond to everyone. My girlfriend isn't on the autism spectrum. She doesn't display many related traits. Also, I don't work in a field with sensitive information, so this isn't a case of work espionage. Some of you mentioned possible mental health issues, which she's never brought up, but after what I found this morning, I'd find it highly unlikely that she isn't struggling with something. So, we had a discussion about the relationship sync journals last night after my last update. She was very forthcoming, and I genuinely believed that she was coming from a sincere place. I told her that she didn't have to study my every move to strengthen our bond, and that we could learn about each other through shared activities. She seemed satisfied with that, and agreed to stop the journals since they made me uncomfortable. She even offered to let me read the whole journal, which I did. Most of the entries were just notes on my likes and dislikes, but one entry really stood out. She was tracking my Facebook activity log. For those wondering about how she knew about conversations I wasn't present for, we sometimes share my laptop, and I'd forgotten that I was logged into Facebook on it. That made me feel uneasy. Since I primarily work from home, after she left this morning, I decided to check the garage. I remembered seeing some notebooks in a box out there. What I discovered was horrifying. There wasn't just one relationship sync journal, but 5 of them, completely filled with entries dating back a year before we even started dating. We knew each other through friends before dating, so I wasn't a complete stranger, but some of these entries are from before we were even friendly, when we just had minor, cordial encounters. What in God's name? She's been tracking my Facebook for a long time. In one journal, there was essentially a diagram cross-referencing my likes, comments, friend lists, and family members, seemingly to determine who I was closest to. There was also an entry about my ex-girlfriend, where she was taking notes from social media to speculate about why we broke up. Her goal was to prevent herself from making the same mistake as my ex. Even more disturbingly, she had notes about my browser history, specifically mentioning that she'd watched some adult videos from my history to understand how to please me better. She also has entries analyzing my reactions to certain things, my body language, and other details to understand my subconscious motivations. My suspicions confirmed. I felt really bad yesterday when some comments suggested that I was a bad boyfriend for not appreciating how thoughtful she was, which is why I tried to be so understanding last night. Those sound like her burner accounts. But now, I'm genuinely terrified and am contemplating leaving the house before she comes back. And now to the latest update. After my last post, where I discovered the extent of the additional relationship sync journals, I decided the best option was to stay home without telling her about my discovery. Luckily, she invited one of her friends over, so I didn't have to spend a lot of time with her before going to bed. While she was busy with her friend, I ended up taking the advice of the user Electronic News, who suggested that I contact an ex of hers and ask if she ever did anything like that with him. I only knew of one ex, but I remembered that she described him as psycho and asked me to block him on Facebook because she was worried he might harass me. I decided to unblock him and then send him a message asking if we could talk on a voice call. We eventually were able to connect on the phone while she was visiting with her friend. He actually sounded like a very normal guy when I spoke with him. I told him why I was calling, and he got quiet when I mentioned my girlfriend's name, then said, "What has she done now?" I ended up telling him the whole story, and afterwards, I heard him laughing on the other end of the phone. It wasn't a laugh like he thought it was funny, it was more like a laugh of disbelief that this had happened again. He then told me that he had a similar experience with her, but she never journaled around him, and they didn't live together for him to find any journals, so the journal thing was new just for me apparently. But he did recall her knowing things that she shouldn't know sometimes. He also mentioned that things in his apartment would go missing, and then suddenly reappear when he would swear that he never touched them. At the time, he was more concerned about a ghost or something than his girlfriend. But he said that he started to feel suffocated by her after a while and chose to break things off with her. After that, that's when the story started to take a turn. Apparently a week after they broke up, she showed up at his house and told him that she is pregnant. He said he decided to give her a second chance, but after a few weeks, he noticed that one of her friends had posted a Snapchat of her at a bar drinking after work. That's when he confronted her, and she admitted that she had faked the pregnancy to get him back. Oh lord, she crazy, what the hell? That's when he broke things off with her and told her to never contact him again. He said he didn't hear from her again after that. He said that months later, he found a camera in his smoke detector when he was changing the batteries for it. He said he knew it was her, but he couldn't prove it. I told him about her telling me to block him, and he said she must have made me do that because she knew that he would warn me if he found out she had a boyfriend. I'm gonna call movers to arrange for them to come pick up my stuff while she is at work. I'm not even gonna tell her. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find movers until next week though, so my plan is to just try to play things off over the next few days. I will keep you all updated. And as of me recording this, there's been no more updates. But if there's more, and you guys want to share them like always, I'll pin it in the comments. In the comments, Hopeful Artichoke says, based on the description of her behaviors, it appears her main fear is abandonment. When she comes home and suddenly learns that she's been abandoned by her favorite person, she is going to lose it. It's going to be bad. You need to switch up your routine completely and stay where she can't find you, at least for the time being. You need to scrub your phone because she probably installed monitoring apps, and I would bet that there's a present underneath your car. Tracking advice. That's so insane to call it a present. Oh my god. If it were me, I would even rent a car for a week just in case. She's definitely got some issues. See also attachment theory. That said, the fucker with those is that they're self-fulfilling. She obsesses about being the perfect partner so that OP doesn't leave her because she's less than perfect, but OP leaves anyway. And OP leaving is the right thing for him, but it'll make her condition worse, in the short run anyway. OP could do one thing to try and help her. Talk to a therapist, internet strangers, friends, or worst case, an AI chatbot to bring those things into perspective, and then write a letter or something to her explaining that while she has the best intentions, the way that she went about it are clear indications of deep-seated issues that she thought she could fix by having a relationship and intellectualizing it. She should get therapy before another relationship. I really don't know if people that are this deep into their mental illness and delusion are really ever gonna hear you out. And I know the phrase like, you can only actually help someone who wants to be helped is thrown around a lot here, but I feel like that's pretty true. Especially in this instance, she has, tried to fix it by having a relationship and intellectualizing the situation. She's not done the work to recognize that she is the problem and that someone else is not going to fix her. I feel bad for her, honestly, and even if it was a guy, I'd feel bad for him. I'd say that's quite a sad little place to trap yourself in life, when really the better thing to do would be to get the help, work on yourself, figure out why you are the way you are, get medicated, and then date someone when you're not reliant on them for your mental health. I just wish that was more commonplace, and that common sense was more common. But maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I don't have common sense, as a lot of people in the comments will say. Screw you guys. But yeah, I can't imagine how this is going to blow up when she comes home to OP not being there and he finds her present underneath the car. Oh my god. Walter, we found the present underneath your car, Walter. It's definitely giving Breaking Bad vibes. Oh, what do you mean there's a present in this big barrel of methylamine? How'd that get there? Anyway, I'm yabbering on. Thank you for the story, OP. Sorry that I haven't covered the other updates yet, but unless you want me to ask ChatGPT to make them up for me, that ain't happening just yet, so yeah. Am I the asshole for wanting to uninvite my sister-in-law from my wedding because she keeps undermining my wedding planning? My fiancé, Nate, 27 male, and I, 26 female, have been together for almost 3 years. He proposed to me about 6 months ago, and shortly after, we found out I was pregnant. We are planning on having our wedding in the spring of next year. Nate has a twin sister, 27 female, who we will call Kayla. Nate and I announced our engagement and my pregnancy at the same time. We made a cute little Facebook post with a couple engagement pics and an ultrasound photo that said something along the lines of, "The Smith family is going to have 2 new additions." Kayla commented almost immediately that we will have to wait until next year to actually get married because she looks best in fall colors, and as my maid of honor, she'll get a say in choosing bridesmaids' dresses. I literally stared at my phone screen wondering if I read something wrong. I showed the comment to Nate and asked him why she thought she would be my maid of honor. He had no clue. So I texted her, and this is how that exchange went. I say, "Hey Kayla, I see you saw our announcement on Facebook. Thank you for being ready to step up for me, but we haven't started working on our wedding logistics yet, and I haven't picked my bridesmaids, much less my maid of honor. Once we have more details of the wedding worked out, we will let you know." Kayla replies, "Well, you don't have to choose a maid of honor anymore. I'm your maid of honor." I say, "I don't understand. I never asked you to be." And she says, "Well, you don't have to ask. That's what makes me such a good sister." And I say, "I'm sorry, you are not my maid of honor." And she says, "We'll see about that." I showed these messages to Nate, who said he would deal with it. I have no idea what the extent of their conversation was, but Kayla never brought up being my maid of honor again. She just reared her ugly attitude in different ways. As of now, Nate and I have booked the venues, caterer, the florals, decorations, and the DJ already. A couple months ago, I invited mine and Nate's mothers, along with my sister Sam, who I asked to be my maid of honor, to do some dress shopping. Kayla found out from her mum and invited herself to tag along. We started by looking for a dress for Sam. I wanted my bridesmaids in a pretty pastel yellow, but Sam's is going to be more golden. Kayla would not shut up about how yellow is such an ugly color, and I should go with pink or blue instead. She even grabbed a bunch of pink and blue dresses to try on herself. I tried my best to ignore her while her mother entertained her bizarre ideas. Sam and my mother were making constant comments about how it's my wedding, and if Kayla isn't going to be helpful, she should just leave. Unfortunately, she didn't, and I'm too nice to kick her out in front of my mother-in-law, who I already have a strained relationship with. Our mothers were able to shop for their dresses with little interference from Kayla, but as soon as I started trying things on, she had all sorts of things to say. She would tell me that certain styles wouldn't look good once I had a baby bod, and even told me that I should consider not wearing white since I'm obviously not a virgin. What a piece of shit! I would have slapped her for that one personally. I told her she wasn't a virgin when she got married either, yet she still wore an adorable white sundress to the courthouse. She grumbled about how that wasn't the same, but I was already halfway back to the changing room. I still don't know what happened while I was in there, but when I came out, Kayla and mother-in-law were gone, and Sam had a smug smile on her face. I never discussed any details of the wedding with Kayla if I could help it, but I've heard Nate sharing some of our plans with her. He told her while we were planning on a buffet-style meal because we have a lot of dietary restrictions in our families, and that was the cheapest way to accommodate everyone, literally like a few $1,000 difference, and she told him that he deserved someone who wouldn't go cheap on his wedding, even though the buffet was his idea. He told her about our venue choices. He picked the reception venue, I picked the ceremony venue, which is the same place my parents got married. My father passed away, and since he cannot walk me down the aisle, I always wanted to get married in the same place that he married my mum, to sort of feel like he was there with us. She told Nate that my venue choice was tacky, and people would make fun of us. That's something else that I'd slap her for, what the hell? When he mentioned that he wanted a DJ, she made a comment about how she knew that I wasn't classy enough to want a live band. Each and every time she would make comments like this, Nate would tell her that they were his ideas, but not call her out for how she spoke about me, which I do feel a little hurt by. I've expressed this to him and he told me that he would try to do better about calling her out, but she's just always been this way. I told him that's no excuse for her to be disrespectful and stick her nose into business that doesn't concern her. He hesitantly agreed. On Friday, I got an email from the venue for our ceremony confirming our cancellation and asking if we needed to reschedule. Shortly after that, I got a voicemail from our caterer explaining that my new wedding planner had just called, but the line had dropped, and was wondering if I could pass along her phone number so they could finish going over changes to the menu. I immediately emailed the venue back, saying that no, we are not cancelling or rescheduling. Please keep our original date on the books. I called the caterer, who explained that a woman had called and said that she was my new wedding planner. She had said that I wanted to make some changes to the contract, namely switching from a buffet style to plated meals. I told him that this was not the case. I do not have a wedding planner, and please do not make any changes unless contacted by me or Nate directly with the contact information we have on file. The caterer suggested putting a password on file also. He said he wouldn't make any changes unless the person requesting them knew the password. I called both venues and all of our other vendors to put in place the same type of precautions. They all gave me their sympathies for me having to deal with this. When Nate got home from work, I confronted him about it. I told him someone tried to cancel my venue and change our catering. I told him the only person it could be is Kayla. He tried to deny and say that she wouldn't do it, but I reminded him of how she's undermined and insulted me every step of this engagement. I told him I wanted her uninvited. I won't give someone who has already done so much to make this wedding stressful the opportunity to do something like show up in white. He fought me on this, but I basically told him that I felt disrespected by him over how he is allowing Kayla to treat me. I'm his partner and the mother of his child. My feelings and comfort should be more important to him than his sister's childish antics. We met with her for lunch earlier today, and once we got dessert, he asked her if she was trying to make changes to our wedding plans. She said, and I quote, "Well, yeah. It's the maid of honor's job to make sure the bride is making the right decisions." Before Nate could even say anything, I told her that she's not my maid of honor, and even if she was, that would not give her the authority to undermine our decisions and make changes to the wedding plans and budget behind our backs. She said she didn't see what the big deal was, since her grandmother had offered us a pretty large chunk of change as a present to help pay for the wedding. I told her again, the wedding budget is none of her business. She tried to argue, but I just cut her off. I told her that her behavior regarding the wedding thus far has been nothing but disrespectful and insulting. I told her trying to cancel my venue had crossed the line and she was no longer invited to the wedding. She seemed absolutely shocked by this. She looked at Nate, waiting for him to defend her, and then he did. He looked at me and said, "Why don't we give her one more chance?" I asked if he was kidding, and he said no. That Kayla was only doing what she thought was best for us, and now that we've told her that it wasn't okay, we should give her a chance to correct her behavior. I didn't even respond. I just got up and left. I went and got in my car and drove home, thinking to myself if he wanted to side with his sister, then he could rely on her to get home. I ignored him trying to get a hold of me. Once at home, I packed a small bag and left for Sam's house. I told her everything, and she told me that I could stay as long as I needed to. But now she's at work for the night, and that's where I am now. I'm trying to process what just happened, trying to figure out when I became second place in Nate's life, trying to figure out if there is any way to fix what he just broke in me. He keeps switching between asking where I am, telling me he didn't think it was that big of a deal, and apologizing and asking to come home and talk. I don't feel ready to talk to him just yet. I'm still too upset, and I feel like I'll do or say something I'll regret, like call off the wedding altogether. I just told all my vendors that we aren't cancelling the wedding, but right now I kind of want to. I don't know if it's my hormones making me feel crazy, or if I'm valid in how hurt I'm feeling. I just don't know what to do or what to think. So am I the asshole for not wanting to give her a second chance? Or is my fiancé right that she deserves a chance to prove herself because she's uninvited from the wedding altogether? In the comments, Present Duck says, "You're in the right, and I think a wedding cancellation, or at least a delay, is in order until he can show that you come before his sister. His sister tried to change the venue that was meaningful for you because it was a reminder of your father. To cancel that over anything else is not just over the line, but it's cruel. You gave him many chances to get her in line, and he failed. One thing I would recommend, if you do go forward with him, is that when meeting with her, let him take the lead, even if you don't agree with what he is saying. It'll be the biggest indicator of his mindset and ensures that she doesn't or can't blame you for boundaries he is placing." OP replies, "Thank you. He keeps saying that I just don't know her well enough to know that all her comments and jokes, quote-unquote, are harmless. But this one wasn't just a comment. She actually tried to cancel the venue. I honestly couldn't care less about the catering. That one was just weird, but my venue was special. It was too far." Chaotic Good replies, "Your fiancé is spineless, and his sister is a delusional bully. You've also said that you have a strained relationship with his mother. Why are you marrying into this mess? Agreed. You need to postpone this wedding indefinitely and see if he changes or not. Do not get married to him right now. Just don't do it. It will be the biggest mistake of your life." According Pizza says, "Not the asshole, but I think because you're very overwhelmed and hormonal, you are emphasizing the wrong issues, and it's making it harder for you to get your point across. The issue isn't about whether or not she deserves another chance, it's about your fiancé allowing it to escalate to this extreme point in the first place, rather than standing up to her for you. Trust me, you don't want a marriage where your husband doesn't have your back and you're constantly fighting alone against his family. You should probably just call off the wedding until this situation is sorted out, and he's made it clear that he's prioritizing the new family he's creating with you over his mother and his sister. Until he can stand up and be a man, you really don't want him, sis. You're just scared because you're vulnerable, but you're also creating a new life right now, and so fucking powerful. Don't forget that. You'll feel so much better for taking your power back and not putting up with this anymore. It sounds like it's time for an ultimatum where he has to choose between you and his family. That sounds scary, but if he chooses wrong, at least you'll know now rather than suffering through this for several years, only to call it quits anyways. Be a brave girl for your child's sake. You don't need his sister overstepping once the baby is here. Your maternal instincts will not let that fucking fly. You've got this." And OP replies, "Thank you for this. I think I really just needed to hear this from someone who isn't my sister and needs to say it. I just feel so defeated right now. Because if he does choose wrong, then I have to do this parenting thing by myself instead of with him like we always planned. It's so fucking terrifying." I agree with that commenter. It is time for an ultimatum in this situation, because this is pretty much just every just no mother-in-law situation, but now it's a sister-in-law that's in place of the mother-in-law, and I'm sure she's being supported by the mother-in-law as well. Let's not, take that factor out. Mother-in-law, after all, did invite her to dress shopping when she knew that she wasn't invited to it, and look at how that went. Hopefully, OP, you do take the advice of all the commenters here and get him to grow a spine for once and actually realize how shit his family is and is being towards you. Because yeah, that's a terrifying reality to look forward to, where you have to constantly fight his family while he fights against you and tries to bully you into submission when they're doing you wrong? How can he see her cancelling the wedding venue in which your parents got married? It has gigantic sentimental value to you, and him go, I see nothing wrong with this. That was just really weird. You actually don't understand her. She's just got like silly little bullying, creative vibes like that. She's kind of quirky, you know? He hates you. He hates you. All I can get from that is he is a spineless pussy and he hates his wife and he wants his sister to bully his wife. No normal person would be okay with that. If that were my sister doing that, I would bring the goddamn world down on her because how dare she? OP, he should be deeply insulted from this, but yet he continues to normalize the situation. There is something wrong with him. Not the asshole for wanting to uninvite the sister-in-law. She and the mother-in-law at this point, who I'm guessing is supporting this, deserve no place in the wedding. I'm saying it. And now, onto the update. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who read my original post and offered their judgments and advice. Writing this out really helped me process what I was feeling, and hearing that I wasn't overreacting or just being hormonal from people that are removed from the situation was very comforting. I read every single comment, and there is no way to express how much all the kind words meant to me. There were lots and lots of comments asking for an update, but I wanted to wait until after I had talked to Nate. I spent last night at Sam's house and mostly ignored Nate's texts and calls. Kayla texted me once, also telling me not to let my hormones make me irrational. I just blocked her, but someone advised me to unblock and just silence her notifications so that if she escalates, I could maybe use it in court for my custody case. I did unblock her earlier today, and I'm glad I did, but we'll get there. I replied to Nate at one point last night, telling him that I was safe and at Sam's house and that I would be home tomorrow, today, after work, to talk about everything. I expressed again that I was feeling really hurt about not being heard or backed up by him, and that I needed time to decide what I wanted to do. He asked what I meant by that, if I meant cancelling the wedding altogether. I told him that is exactly what I was considering. His reply? Don't let your hormones make you do something irrational. We'll talk tomorrow. I would bury him for saying that. What is wrong with you, Nate? Yeah, let me just attack my fiance and use the same talking point. Haha, smart guy. It's giving I hate my wife. Anyone else want to take a guess as to where he got that line? That just about made my decision for me. I didn't reply, not even when he texted me, good night, I love you. Instead, before I went to bed for the night, I sent him a link to my post and told him to read through it before we talk. Someone said that he probably sent it to Kayla too. If she did read it, she hasn't commented, and if she texted me about it, it was while I had her blocked. This morning, I called into work and had breakfast with Sam. She gave me the number of a family lawyer that her friend used for his custody case. I spoke to the assistant, explained my situation, and luckily, she had a slot open after lunch for an initial consult. So I took a shower and basically just kept reading through the comments on my post until it was time to talk to her. I told the lawyer exactly why I am leaving Nate and how I'm terrified over how his sister would influence him with our baby. I don't trust him to not be influenced by Kayla and to have our baby's best interest in mind. So I want to fight for sole custody and supervised visitation. I told her, if possible, I want to include something that restricts Kayla from having any contact with my child. I am already mentally preparing to have to fight Nate in court because I know he will not agree to any of this. My lawyer told me that while my concerns are valid, it may be difficult to convince a judge to put a contact restriction in the custody order based on my family drama alone. She advised me to document everything Kayla has done and anything moving forward so that we can present it to the judge if and when we end up in court. She gave me a list of things to think about, like if I want Nate to get any custody at all, or just visitation, how I want to handle things like medical care or education for my child, if I want to put up communication restrictions, like only talking over text. Lots of things that I never would have thought of and never thought I would have to think of. We were supposed to do all of this together. She told me to take a few days to gather my thoughts and decide on what I want. I scheduled an in-person meeting for this Friday to go over everything. Hopefully I'll have my mind straight by then, but if anyone has any advice when it comes to what to put on these custody papers, I'm all ears. After the phone call with my lawyer, I checked some more comments and then took a much-needed nap. When I woke up, I had a text from Nate asking what time I would be off work so he could have dinner ready for when I get home. I told him that I'd be there around 5, but if Kayla's there, I will be turning around and leaving without a word. I then asked him if he read the post I sent him, and he said, "I did, but I would rather talk to you than read you bash me and my sister on the internet with a bunch of strangers. Don't worry, I told Kayla she's not welcome." This pissed me off beyond belief. Clearly, he either didn't read the post or still doesn't realize how truly in the wrong they are here. Either way, I lost all motivation to try and talk to work things out. I'm just done. I texted him, "Don't worry about dinner. All I'll be doing is gathering some more things and dropping off my lawyer's contact info. There's nothing more for us to discuss." He asked what I meant, "What lawyer?" and told me he's been waiting to talk about this. All I said was, "Fine." Sam wished me luck before I left and assured me I was welcome back once we were done talking. I told her that I absolutely would be back and thanked her for everything so far. And then I stopped and got one of those boba refreshers from Starbucks to calm my nerves before I went home. When I got home, Nate had dinner ready just like he said. I ignored him and went straight to my room to pack up some more of my clothes and toiletries. He tried asking me if I really wasn't going to talk to him, but I just ignored him for the time being. Just seeing his face made my anger flare up, and I wanted to be smart about our discussion. After a while, he gave up and just went to eat in the dining room. When I was finished, I went and sat with him at the table, but I didn't touch any of the food. I started a voice memo on my phone before I said, "Go ahead." He looked at me all confused, so I told him that he was the one that wanted to talk and must have so much to say. So go ahead. He stumbled over his words for a while, but ultimately started off with an apology, trying to tell me he didn't realize I was so upset with Kayla's behavior. I asked him if he remembered how hard I cried after I got home from dress shopping because of her comments about my choices and my body. If he remembered having to talk to her about not being my maid of honor, if he remembered our conversation just a few days ago where I told him canceling my venue that held so much sentiment to me was way too far over the line. He said he did each time and tried to add a "but" to argue, but I just cut him off with my next example. I told him that after all of that, he 100% should have known that I was beyond done with her bullshit. I told him I was so hurt and so pissed that I wanted her uninvited, but he wanted to give her another chance? To what? Cancel our DJ and book a live band? Dye my dress red and show up in white instead? He told me that she would never do that. I told him he told me she would never cancel my venue, but then she admitted to it in front of our faces. I told him I don't trust his opinion on his sister and that he's just as delusional as she is if he thinks she will change. I asked him why he even told her so many details of our wedding anyway. Why does her opinion for our wedding even matter? He tried to tell me that because Kayla didn't get to have a real wedding when she got married, she was just a little too excited about ours. I told him she has all the right in the world to be excited, but that doesn't give her any rights to insult or change our choices regarding what we want for our wedding. She'll have plenty of opportunities to have a real wedding if she could stop for 2 seconds and take her nose out of our wedding business. She could go out and find a man or a woman to marry herself. Poor soul, whoever that may be. I asked him, "What's next?" She gets to name our baby since she lost her own? The look on his face made my stomach feel hollow. He told me, and I quote, "Actually, Kayla does have a few ideas for what we could name our daughter." You can't be serious right now, man. Oh no. I hate my wife. Daughter? Side note, I'd mentioned in a comment previously that we were waiting to be surprised about the gender of our baby. We were discussing baby names and had settled on the top 3 for each gender. We agreed to keep them to ourselves until the baby is born. I asked if he said daughter, and he looked like a deer caught in the headlights. He backtracked, but I pressed the issue. I asked him flat out if he knows the gender of our baby. He hesitated, but ultimately confessed to remembering that I filled out an information release form at my first OB visit, so he called the office and asked them for the results of our gender scan, claiming that we changed our minds and that he was going to do a reveal for me. I feel absolutely sick and violated. I asked him what the fuck he was thinking. He said Kayla was feeling left out since Sam was planning my baby shower and not including her, and that she just couldn't wait to find out. I demanded he tell me everything. What else has he gone behind my back to do? Did he give her the idea to pretend to be our wedding planner? Was he the one that had her cancel my venue and change our catering? He tried to tell me no, of course not. She did that on her own, but I could just tell that he was lying. He absolutely put her up to all of this. At that point, I didn't even care why he did. It's clear that none of our decisions will ever actually be ours. He will always do whatever the hell he wants to and get Kayla to back him up. I don't even want to think about how many of our decisions in the past were completely undermined and changed by these two. I asked him, if Kayla came to him and told him everything I'm telling him, that she doesn't feel supported by her partner, her partner went behind her back to learn the gender of their baby without her, that her partner was retroactively changing every decision that they had agreed upon, that her partner was letting their sibling bully her relentlessly, what would he say to her? He didn't have a response, and honestly, if he did, I didn't want to hear it anymore. I knew the answer. I told him that as the woman who was supposed to be his wife, me and the baby I am carrying should be his top priority, not his twin sister. I said him going behind my back like this for something as important as the gender of our baby is absolutely unforgivable. There is nothing that he can say or do to fix this now. I told him I will no longer be marrying him, but it's up to him if he wants to cancel all the vendors. I said, you're more than welcome to use it all to marry Kayla, seeing as she's the one you obviously care the most about. He tried to backtrack and apologize and explain, but every time I just cut him off and told him that I had heard enough and my mind was made up. There is no going back now. If he wants to have even the slimmest chance to get me back and have a real relationship with our baby, he'll need to attend some serious therapy and do a lot of work on himself and his relationship with Kayla. I told him no woman in her right mind would ever marry him while he was this enmeshed with her. I told him that any contact we have moving forward will be through my lawyer. I want nothing to do with his family, and if I get what I want, they will have nothing to do with my daughter, because I'll be damned if I let him subject her to this treatment. I put my lawyer's name and phone number on the table and walked out. He didn't try to follow me. So now, on top of dealing with my lawyer for the custody case, do I have to file a complaint with my OB office? Are they allowed to just give him this information without my express consent? Or did me stupidly putting him on the information release form that I signed give them blanket consent to share any and all information with him? God, I didn't think this could get any worse, but I guess that's on me for being naive. I'm glad I recorded the conversation though, and got him admitting to all of this. I don't know how or if it will help my custody case, but I sent it to my lawyer with a note that we can discuss more on Friday. I'm back at Sam's place now. She was already at work when I got back, but I texted her to wake me up when she gets home. I need my sister. I also called my mum and told her everything that's happened so far. She cried with me for a while, and then she asked me if I needed her to do anything. I asked her if she'd be willing to go to the house with Sam and get the rest of my stuff, because I do not want to see Nate right now. Just picturing his face is making me feel sick. She said she's more than willing. Kayla did text me again, and I'm assuming Nate talked to her after I left. It was a very long, cruel message that I don't want to repeat here. I can post a screenshot if anyone cares for the whole message, if I can figure out how to attach one, but to summarize, she just called me a delusional control freak who can't let Nate make any decisions for himself and insulted my venue choice once again, and then said that she hopes my baby is stillborn because I don't deserve to be a mother. Honestly, after reading it, I thought the message would hurt, but it just gave me a really good laugh. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer as well. And that's where we're at. The wedding is off. I will call all of the vendors tomorrow and see if we can get any of the deposits back. If not, I'll let them know to contact Nate and Kayla to see if they would like to keep things as planned. Let them throw a party for all I care, but I will be cancelling my venue regardless of my refund. Neither of them are going to step foot in that sacred place if I can help it. I didn't realize how much I was letting this weigh on me until now. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and even though a new one is settling very quickly, writing everything out like this is truly so freaking helpful for me to process how I'm feeling and what I need to do. I don't know if I'll keep doing formal updates, but for anyone who is interested, maybe I'll just treat this profile like a little journal as this all unfolds. Thank you again to everyone for all of your advice and for showing me that I'm not crazy. In the comments, Crazy Dog Foster Mum says, "Not the arsehole. I'm glad you're not going through with the wedding. Also, very smart of you to record your conversation with Nate. Please follow your attorney's instruction. I hope you can move home with your mom or go live with your sister. Kayla is crazy, and you need to put up security cameras for your protection. It might be better for you to move out of state to have primary and hopefully 100% custody of your daughter. Revoke the release of medical information. Lock down your medical records with a password, since Nate knows your date of birth and probably your social security number. I'm proud of you. Lock down your credit also, since anything Nate knows, Kayla knows, and I wouldn't be surprised if she tried further identity theft." OP replies, "That's not something I would have ever thought of. Luckily, our finances are mostly split still, but she doesn't know my social. Just another thing to add to my to-do list for tomorrow." Wow. If Nate reads this, your sister just wished your baby dead. I bet you'll comfort her for saying it. Spineless piece of shit. I hope her statement gives some weight to your argument that she shouldn't have contact with the baby and that Nate isn't responsible, coherent, and so many other words that I want to say that will get me trouble. Enough to care for a child. I can't wait to read an update a while from now where you're thriving and so is the baby. What do I even say to that? That was a wild ride of a story. Holy shit. Kayla coming in with the fourth quarter wishing death upon your baby. My God, what a lovely woman. No, yeah, I just want my niece to die. That would be lovely. Jesus Christ, what a woman, huh? If familial love like that is wrong, then I want to be right. God damn it, make me be right. Get me the hell away from that. Surely this is a situation where you have so much overwhelming evidence that you can do something about it in a court of law. And yeah, absolutely. Cross state lines, get the hell out of Dodge, get 100% custody and stay away from those psychos. This is a situation where I 100%, 200% advocate for abandonment. I don't know if that's what you'd say in this situation. I think it's more like escaping, getting the hell away from them, and giving yourself the best chance at 100% custody. I don't know how you put two and two together, OP, that this was all Nate's doing, and that it wasn't actually his family that was 100% responsible for all of this happening. It makes sense to me that he would be behind all of this and using them as scapegoats, even though they're willing participants, I guess flying monkeys in this sense. What an absolute shit show. I would love to know how this story ends, but for right now, god damn, that was a wild ride. Thank you for bringing us the update, OP. I hope they read all of this. I hope they hear my words that I have for them as a family. They are all pieces of shit. They all deserve the worst. How dare they put you through this? And I hope, I hope the same fate that Kayla asked for your child comes for them sooner rather than later. How about that, guys? Wouldn't that be a Merry Christmas? Thank you for the story, OP. Would I be the asshole here if I, female 28, told my husband, male 28, that his sleep boundaries went out the window when he had our son? My husband, we will call Brad, and I have been together for 2.5 years. We had our son in January. Things have been pretty great, but this had me feeling kind of annoyed. Brad is diagnosed with autism and ADHD, which can make communication between us challenging at times, but we do our best. We live in Europe, not the US. Since Brad has ADHD, he only works 50%, and the other half is covered by a health insurance here on a temporary basis, and every few months he has to keep applying for more. It is stressful as we wait for him to hopefully get on a permanent coverage. Since this is so up in the air, instead of me taking a full year of maternity leave, he took a majority of the days in case his temp health insurance is denied for some reason. Then he can keep his work schedule at 50% and still get paid on the days he has off, which means I went back to work part-time. I work from home as a private teacher. I choose my hours. Since my students usually live in different countries, I chose some in the afternoon when Brad is home with our son, and at nights when my students would be awake and Brad is also home. I only have one student in the evening, 11 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. twice a week. This is to help with some income, and we discussed this before I even went back to work. He had asked no students past midnight, so if baby is having issues sleeping, he can take care of him and hopefully get him to sleep. Well, Brad got back on a schedule where he wants to go to bed at 11 p.m. every night. We try to, but with a baby, sometimes it just doesn't happen. Baby sometimes will stay asleep when I put him to bed, as I nurse him to sleep, and sometimes he wakes up screaming. Last night, I told Brad that I had my student at 11 p.m., and I would try having baby sleeping by then. He asked me, well, what's your plan if baby wakes up? My bedtime is 11 p.m., so hopefully you've thought of something. I said, well, hopefully he stays asleep. If not, you'll just have to take care of him or put him on his playmat and entertain him. He resolutely said, bedtime is 11 p.m. and I will go to bed. Come 11 p.m., baby is in bed and Brad is just getting out of the shower. I guess he woke up moments after I started with my student, as when I came out of the office, he was walking around with baby. I took him, nursed him back to sleep, and went to bed also shortly after 11:30 p.m. This morning, he was a bit annoyed with me. When I tried to hug him goodbye as he was leaving to work, he did not hug me back. We always do this before he leaves. So I said, "Are you upset with me still?" He replied, "Yes, you crossed my boundary. My bedtime is 11 p.m. We discussed this. I go to bed, and anything past that is your problem to solve if baby wakes up." He left for work, and I was just thinking, what? I feel I need to have some discussion with Brad about this, but would I be the asshole here if I told him that he has no more boundaries with his sleep and that he's being ridiculous? In the comments, Puzzle-Headed Rub says, "No, your hubby is the asshole here if he thinks he can make a whole baby but only parent according to clock shifts. It's a 24-hour-a-day job, Dad. Time to be grown up, Dad." ADHD isn't an excuse either. Plenty of ADHD people are parents. Adapting may not be a favorite thing, but it can be done. Maybe he'll need more breaks and support, but to bow out completely at a specific o'clock daily is a form of weaponized incompetence. Also, boundaries are what you do when someone acts against your limitations. Your husband issued a rule that you never agreed to. Get his ass in parenting classes. He has the time. His expectations are not in alignment with reality at all. Also, withholding affection as punishment, not hugging you in the morning to make his point, is a form of emotional abuse. Dude needs to be in counseling too. Edit, emphasis on withholding affection as punishment, because withholding affection due to needing personal space, time to emotionally process, or sensory needs is not the same thing. He could have spoken differently in the morning, but it seems he's pretty obviously holding a grudge. Yeah, agreed with most of this, except withholding affection. Being forced to give physical favors when you're upset and don't want to be touched is abuse. Both partners have full ownership of their bodies at all times. Physical affection is for shared loving moments. So then you'd need to explain that and discuss with your partner. Wordlessly withholding affection as punishment is emotional abuse. If you say, hey, I'm upset right now, so I don't really want to touch, then that's absolutely fine, which to be fair to OP's partner, he did do when asked. So I don't really get the claim of emotional abuse in this case. I think because it seems like he wasn't hugging her in order to punish her, not distance himself. It feels like an I'm going to emotionally hurt you response rather than an I'm hurt and need space response. Nuance is the reason that I never bring up affection withholding online, because it's very dependent upon the relationship and mindset of the people in the relationship. Not the asshole. Your husband is being ridiculous. He is a father, he should act like it. Babies wake up in the night. It's not fair to expect you to take care of it all by yourself while he peacefully sleeps every night. He is a parent, he needs to parent his child. OP says, that's what my mother said. If it means that he has to walk around with baby to calm him, he just has to. My schedule is not a surprise either. It was something we discussed weeks before I even went back. Epiphone replies, not to mention the fact that you're having to return to work early after pregnancy because of the financial issues caused by him only working part-time. OP replies, well, the thing is, in our country and Europe, he is technically employed full-time, but due to his disabilities, he only works 50% and the other 50% is covered by a health insurance here. Yes, his work knows, all of it is legal. I'm not from Europe originally, so I might be explaining this badly, but if he loses the income from the health insurance, he only gets paid 50% from work. Calamity Clambake says, I think you're explaining it perfectly. I think a lot of Redditors are blown away by the concept that the government would cover 50% of a PhD's wages just because they have ADHD, because a lot of Redditors are from the US where that would never happen. It seems like an extreme luxury to us to have a parent who only has to work 20 hours a week. The fact that your husband can't or won't handle his share of the parenting when he only has to work 20 hours a week is really hard for this American to grasp. I hope your husband is extremely grateful to his country and to you for taking on so much of his load. Yeah, I don't buy it either personally. I think that he's using it as a weaponized incompetence excuse. It being his ADHD. No one cares. Life does not care that your bedtime is 11 p.m. You have a kid now. That's it. End of story. The kid's needs come before your wants. And an 11 p.m. bedtime is a want. It's not a need. I get where he's coming from and I get that he has his frustrations about this, but at the end of the day, OP's not an asshole for having a problem with him refusing to be a parent. You just can't be a part-time parent like that. It doesn't work. It's unfair to everyone. I would be just as pissed off as she is in this situation because this just won't work out long-term if he continues to stonewall anything like this. Oh no, I'm going to withhold affection in the morning because I'm upset that you forced me to be a parent. Welcome to the real world, man. Sorry that I'm forcing you to do your parenting role. Jesus Christ. Obviously talk to him and have a more well-rounded discussion about this so that you can get him on side, but like, man, come on. It's pissing me off that he's like this. And now, onto the update. So, he came home and we had a long talk about how his words can be easily misunderstood, especially if he does not clarify to me or I ask him to. How a baby equals no boundary with sleep. We do our best, all we can do. We need to spend more time as a family together. I explained how, to a neurotypical person, his words and actions hurt, even if that's not his intent. That baby is the priority always, even our mental health. We only have each other, and even though I can sympathize with the mental health, you just have to push past it. I'm doing all I can, and if you need help, ask for it. He's willing to get extra support at the neuropsych where we live beyond what he has. He is medicated and getting all the help he can and will seek ways to cope. I made it clear that in no way was his reaction okay and it cannot happen again for the baby's sake. He seemed to understand. As some of you suggested him getting extra support for his ADHD, he will. I will also ask for some counseling on how to communicate better myself to him. Around the house, he will spend less time alone, more with us. Free time happens after or when baby sleeps, not before. Games can be played in the living room where we are together. Also, my mother offered to be on call if she has the time, so if husband is alone with baby, she can video chat with baby, which he likes. I talk with her on video almost every day, and sometimes it can snap baby into a better mood when he sees his granny. And yes, we live in Sweden, so we get 480 days between us, and we can share and trade, so that I can get some days back if it comes to it. I was never forced to give up my days, it was my choice due to what was happening at the time. He only works 50% because that is what he feels he can do without burning himself out. He has other health issues, diabetic, EDS, that make him more exhausted. His job pays pretty well, but only just half his wage is not enough. If he gets permanent health insurance, it could take a few years. We hope. I'm with him because when I met him, he was under less pressure. He is fully capable, had a job, cleaned his apartment, has a social life, but I think the stress of having the health insurance and our son, sometimes just being a baby, got to him. Prior to this, he has been a good husband and father and has been considerate. I'm not stupid. I was in an abusive relationship prior to this. My parents love him. Just not his behavior at times like now. He messed up with his words, and he has acknowledged that. Some of you thought that it might be a deeper issue, but no. I asked, and he just said that he was upset because to him, I was working at a time he did not agree to, but I had to remind him that wanting to go to bed at 11 p.m. was recent, as in back in May when I started to go back to work. He is just stressed from work, baby, and just day-to-day things. He apologized for how he rejected my hug by standing there. He was annoyed. That's why he didn't reciprocate, and how he worded things last night and this morning. I promised no students past 11:30 p.m., and he said of course he would never let our son just cry if he was going to bed, I had student and baby was awake. Will it stick? I don't know. We just take things one day at a time. The next step is couples counseling, as opposed to individual, and involving my parents whom he respects. In the comments, Burner3 says, "Thank you for giving your husband grace. I also have ADHD, and the sleepless nights were awful for me. I was undiagnosed at the time and really struggled with lack of sleep. I still do, and my husband did the bulk of the night shifts, and I will be eternally grateful for that. I think being bluntly honest with him is good. If he's exhausted, and which new parent isn't, and burned out, then it's going to be harder for him to regulate himself. I'm not excusing his actions at all, but I just wanted to show my appreciation for how you were handling his disabilities. I wish you all the best." OP says, he has his own office space. The baby's routine usually means he falls asleep at 8, but after 8, free time. OK Independent says, I don't quite agree with the no alone time until baby is asleep. I am the default parent. I did all of the nights with my boys. I think taking some alone time, especially when overstimulated, is a must, especially if you're able to. I'm not just talking about him, but you as well. Every parent deserves to be able to step away in those especially hard moments with their babies, children, or arguments. Annie Orange says, I'm sorry to say this so directly, but I think he's using his condition to be a lazy parent and human being overall. People who don't have autism and ADHD still get burnt out, especially when having a baby, especially when they're the mother. Well, what about you? You just birthed his baby, you're back to work, and from the way that you've described your family dynamics, it seems to me like you're doing most of the work yourself. Has he considered that you might need a break? And have you considered that you might be actually more burnt out than him, but you're just not as lazy? Many questions to ponder, many answers we will not be receiving, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes. I think they are doing their best with what they have. I hope that his continued therapy helps him out and helps give him the tools that he needs to be more active in the baby's life and in her life. No situation like this is ever going to be easy with a new child, with a messed up routine because of that child and having to balance your life around it. I'm not bashing on people with disabilities. My anger in the first half of this video was not meant to be taken as me bashing people with ADHD. Please don't take it like that. I understand that, on top of it, he has the EDS, he has the diabetes, he has ADHD. There is a lot going on. Hopefully with help, he is able to overcome that, but he can't be stonewalling OP and I'd say emotionally manipulating her for just trying to have a healthy household. That's how I see her actions. It's hard and I hope they figure it out. Thank you for the update and thank you for the story, OP. Our next post is by user ThrowRA Stacks and Rice, and it's titled, "Would I be the asshole if I go low contact with my niece and take back her gifts?" So yesterday, I went over to my sister's house to help her with some things. I was there for a couple of hours and took a little nap for 4 hours because I was tired. After I woke up, I went home and my husband was being a little off and seemed kind of upset/unhappy. I'm like, "What's up?" And he says I'm being nice for someone who just texted what I did. I sent my kids upstairs and started asking what the hell was going on. He says I sent him divorce texts. I'm shocked because I never did that, which I let him know. I even showed him my phone, which did not show any such texts. He then shows me his messages under my name, and apparently I want a divorce. I was bamboozled because not only did I not think it, but I definitely did not text that. This affected him a little more because we had a fight the previous night, but we have a tradition of sorts, which is reassuring each other that we still love and care, but are just upset at the moment. I'm only adding this because I said something along those lines in the morning before I left, which I brought up when I was defending myself against the text that I supposedly sent. He then says that I had done something similar previously. This is in reference to when I was pregnant and had some pseudo-bipolar moments, which have since been mostly resolved. I've only done this once, and it wasn't even on the same level. I just kinda used to have terrible mood swings. Also, this was only during the pregnancy. I have no bipolar diagnosis or anything like that. That whole journey was kind of traumatic and is not a pleasant memory for me, which he is aware of. Anyway, after we bicker for a little bit, I decided to call my sister and explain what was happening, and then I'm like, "Hey, can you pull up your house footage from while I was there this morning?" We're on FaceTime, and we fast forward to when I went to sleep. The outlet in the room that I was in wasn't working, so I'd plugged my phone into the dining area to charge while I slept. We see my 16-year-old niece on my phone. She was on it and off it for 2.5 hours, smiling and giggling. I'm upset, and her mum is upset as well. She calls her and asks if she touched my phone while I was there, and she lies and says no. She asks her again 2 more times if she touched my phone, and she says she didn't. The laptop is faced away from her, and I believe she didn't realize I was on the phone or that we both already saw what she did. It was after my sister started trying to send me the footage, which I had initially asked for, that she saw that her mum had already seen what happened. She started apologizing and saying that it was supposed to be a prank and she didn't mean anything by it. She called out to me too with apologies while she was crying. My sister is one of those silent when angry types, so she wasn't saying anything. I didn't even know what to say at all this time because why would she even think that this was a fun prank? Not to mention going into my phone without my permission. How she knows my password, I'm not sure, because it's not simple or related to me. I had initially promised that I would sponsor her 17th birthday, which is next month. She had previously also asked for a new PC, which I got, but it's supposed to be a surprise. I also happen to be her godmother. My question is, will I be overreacting if I take all of these gifts back and keep a distance from her? Is it overkill? I feel maybe I'm punishing her for the way my husband reacted and brought up something traumatic for me. Also, maybe his response is justified because he thought the texts were from me and then I was all smiley and sweet when I came back. I'm confused on how to proceed, but Reddit has previously helped figure stuff out before, so I decided to turn to them again. Sorry if this was too lengthy, and let me know if there's anything that I have to clarify. Thanks. Update: Thank you everyone for all the comments and advice. It is incredibly appreciated. All these things happened yesterday. I only posted because I was slightly conflicted. To answer common questions in the comments, yes, I slept for 4 hours at my sister's house. She's my sister, and we do stuff like that. I didn't say that I was tired from what I helped her with. I was simply just tired. Both my sister and niece were not aware of my husband's and my fight from the previous night. Niece was also not aware of the full extent of my mental health struggles from the pregnancy. Niece wasn't texting for 2.5 hours straight. She was on and off the phone. I assume she got off it when she thought that she would be caught. Apparently, she has known my password for a while now. She learned it from looking over my shoulder at a family event from a couple of months back. Also, according to my sister, she's gone into my phone before, at least 3 times that she fessed up to. She has transferred money to herself, taken videos and pictures of it, gone through my texts with my kids and some other relatives, stolen other people's numbers, gotten passwords for my streaming services that they didn't own, and gone through my other texts with my husband. And yes, there is very NSFW stuff in there. My husband is okay. We talked, and he apologized for how he spoke to me, but I told him that I totally understood why he would say what he said. I also apologized for my reaction. We are both okay on our front, and decided that we were both justified given what we both individually knew. Back to the niece, the only thing she did according to her was transfer more money. I checked my recently deleted texts, and there was nothing suspicious there, but I don't know if you can delete texts from recently deleted. She also said she thought the prank would be funny because there was no way my husband would believe all of the stuff she texted because according to her, he loves me too much and we have a perfect relationship. In the texts, he had only replied that we would talk when I got home and that he wasn't going to have that conversation with me over texts. This girl went all the way to add that I would send the papers in a couple of days and talk about the kids with lawyers. I can't explain how absolutely pissed I am. The plan is to go absolutely no contact with her after learning of all the other stuff she did. There will be no birthday and no PC. Someone said to put up a post saying if anyone got a questionable text from me in the last 24 hours, to let me know. I did that, and no one had reached out yet, so I'm hoping it was just my husband. I'm getting my money back. I checked, and in total, she had sent over $700 to herself that I wasn't aware of. She did not send it in bulk, just little bits here and there. I guess I didn't catch on because I do send her money often, and I do have quite a bit in my account, so it wasn't obvious. Her mother will send the money to me from her daughter's savings later this weekend. I told her mother about the suggestions that you guys gave on community service and therapy. I'm low-key scared for her future relationships and college life. She would not have any electronic devices for the rest of the summer. Personally, I don't want to lay eyes on her in the near future. Oh, and yes, she has done this before to one of her friends whom she is still friends with. I don't know why anyone would remain friends with someone like that. This hurt a lot because I love this child so much. I was more present than her father for the first 11 years of her life. She used to come to me for struggles and problems and all that teenager stuff. She had her first period at my house. Her other cousins on her dad's side are jealous of our relationship, for goodness sake. She was my favorite one. I don't really care what her mum does about all of this. I just want my money back and to never speak to her for now. In the future, I might be open to some contact. I blocked her number, so she sent me a long email which I haven't read yet. And her mum also brought a handwritten apology letter from her to my husband. My sister is aware of my decisions and has apologized for her daughter's behavior. My mum is also aware of the situation now. I have no doubt that it's about to become an extended family problem. Anyway, that's that for now. In the comments, Short Classroom says, "She's old enough to know that that shit wasn't funny. I'd ask for community service in lieu of grounding and punishment, and I'd return all the gifts. What a shit thing to do. She's only crying now because she got caught, not the asshole." Next Effect says, "I wouldn't spend one dime on her. She needs to learn that actions have consequences. At 16, she knows better and should do better. Is OP's marriage a joke to her? Why is upending a marriage funny? Is that how teenagers joke these days? This is a good teachable moment that actions have consequences. No birthday or Christmas gifts. Couldn't agree more. It's a very disgusting thing to do to someone. And I imagine if you were to tell her that you had all these gifts, she'd be like, oh, come on, I still deserve them. What I did wasn't that bad. No, you only just tried to break up my marriage and do the most disgusting things possible out of jealousy. That's all it is. This came from a place of jealousy, and what right do you have as a 16-year-old to be jealous of my marriage? Like, what's wrong with you, you delusional, destructive little demon of a woman? How dare you do something like this? Oh, it's just a prank, bro. How about I go sinking all of your future relationships and tell you that it's a prank as well? I'm sure it's going to be so funny when that happens. Everyone's going to laugh when I start saying that I've been cheating on you through text messages to your future boyfriends. And they're really going to take that so well. It's going to be so funny. Wow, pranks like this are the best, guys. We should normalize this. What a fun thing to do. Anyway, I'm sure you can tell what my stance on this situation is. Not the arsehole OP. Continue going no contact with her. That is disgusting what she's done. I really do hope she learns from this. And now, onto the next update. Hey all, it's been a couple of days, and I've gotten a bunch of messages about updates. Right now, we're still going through resulting situations from all of this, so I'll just give you what I have for now. I don't know if I'm adding to this update right, but if I am, good. And if not, I'm sorry, and the first part is on my profile. First, I'll answer some common questions. A lot of people seem to be hung up on the 4-hour nap a lot. I'm a sleeper. I love sleep. I sleep at her place all the time. It's not that deep, but it's probably why I'm in this predicament anyway. Another thing is the cameras. In this day and age, I think people should have cameras in their houses. I have them at my place too. I got them installed after I hired my first babysitter, and I figured out a lot of stuff from reviewing footage. It doesn't have to be in every room, just common areas. On to the actual update. My niece came over to formally apologize to my husband and me. She cried throughout the entire apology. She said she hadn't done it to anyone else, just me. I kept asking why, and she kept repeating that she was sorry. My husband thinks she probably thought that I would be the one to forgive the easiest, and I told her exactly why I was upset and how she had hurt me and my husband. I told her that I would be going low contact with her for the foreseeable future. I let her know that I cancelled the birthday and any gift that she would have gotten. The only thing that she would get from me is her first college tuition, which I had promised a long time ago. I'm doing this as a courtesy to my sister more than anything else. I know it would help her a great deal. Niece will also not be allowed in my house for the foreseeable future. Her dad also reached out and apologized to us. We've decided not to go the legal route as a favor to my sister's family. They have a lot on their plate right now, and I wouldn't want to make their life more complicated. During this conversation, she denied having a crush on my husband, as a lot of you guys had suspected. I asked if she felt I wasn't being attentive enough to her, and she said no. Oh, and I found out that she had texted 2 other people. It was nothing serious, but still. Some people were asking if she had mental issues, and to my knowledge, she has none. She was tested when she was younger, and she had none. She kind of liked drama in elementary and middle school, but nothing worrisome. We told her that she would be starting therapy, to which she said nothing was wrong with her. My husband then said that people who are okay would not do what she did. Her mother added that it was just to help her go about things in more normal ways. Also, the PC will be going to my brother's son, who will be going to college this fall. It'll probably be more useful to him. My kids have since blocked her. She was made to get a new job. She previously worked for her uncle on her dad's side, but they thought it would be better if she worked somewhere entirely different with no family relations. My mum's been upset with my husband and me. She said we were going too far and that she was just a kid. One of my uncles and 2 of my aunts are on her side and have been harassing us with texts and calls. My sister and her husband are on our side though. Over a couple of days following the conversation at my place, my mum has been updating us that my niece was depressed, cries every day, and keeps repeating that she did not mean it. Everyone hates her and is no longer speaking to her. that her second mum no longer loves her or cares about her. She says they have taken away everything from her. Trigger warning, self-harm. On the 12th, my niece attempted to take her life. Her older sister found her. She left a note apologizing for all of the hurt that she caused and said that we would all be better without her. She wrote that she would be better off gone than having to live her life knowing that I hate her and that my kids do not want to be close to her anymore. She wrote a lengthy letter actually, but I can't fit it all in here. She's currently still in the PEDS ICU as she has done some extensive damage to herself. I've been to the hospital every day since I found out. My husband says maybe we went too far. My mother says she will curse me and never speak to my family if I don't make things go back to the way they were. My children think that it's their fault and they're willing to apologize for blocking and cutting her off. I'm more conflicted than I was a week ago. It's like everyone is looking to me to fix it all. I don't really know what to do right now. My sister keeps saying I don't have to do anything, but she has been bawling. My niece's other siblings have all texted me variations of, I know she hurt you, but forgive and forget because she almost died. My extended family has been a lot too. You're a grown woman waging war on a 16-year-old. You are evil and don't deserve good things. I hope your life ends up like what you're giving niece. I've gotten messages from strangers too because my sister's mother-in-law posted on Facebook that I was a bitter woman hurting her granddaughter and a bunch of other things. So the past 3 days have been mentally miserable for me. Not to take away from what my sister's family is going through, but I am sad, heartbroken, confused, and just tired. Please send prayers my sister's way. I'm not sure how this is all going to end, but I'll let everyone know when she's out of the ICU and whatever else happens. Thank you for all of your advice and supportive words. I appreciate it all. In the comments, Familiar Set says, "You are not responsible for her actions." Agreed. And if I was OP, I would not be apologizing or making any changes unless advised to do so by the niece's psychiatrist or therapist. Making any retractions now could further complicate things. The extended family needs to back off as they could cause way more harm than good. Amen. OP, you wrote, some people were asking if she had mental issues. To my knowledge, she has none. We told her that she would be starting therapy, to which she said nothing was wrong with her. My husband then said that people who were okay wouldn't do what she did. Please repeat to yourself Familiar Set's excellent comment and know that what your niece attempted is clear evidence of her lack of mental health. Your mother is a fool, and perhaps you and your sister need to go to her together and explain the consequences the two of you decide that she will face for her toxic actions towards you. And now, onto the latest update. Thank you everyone for your comments, DMs, and advice. I've gotten a lot of DMs and comments for an update, so I'll tell you what's happened since the last update. First, I want to give a big shout out to my sister, niece's mum. She can't see this, but I just want those words out there. I've said them to her too, but I want you guys to hear it as well. She's not only been my biggest defender against all the flying monkeys despite what she's going through, but she's also been so good to me. She stood up for me to my mother and relatives. She also counterposted on Facebook after all that stuff from her mother-in-law. Secondly, I want to address those asking how my niece did it and how she was found. She ingested something harmful. We're not exactly sure of what it was, but it was a mixture of cleaning supplies. Her oldest sister found her on the bathroom floor. She was extubated on the 16th after she got a whole bowel irrigation and one-time hemodialysis because she had given herself an acute kidney injury. She was intubated for 26 hours. She is now out of the ICU and is now on the PEDS med-surg unit. The same evening she left the ICU, she had to be put on a 72-hour psych hold and will be transferring to an inpatient psych facility when she is medically cleared. She did get a psych evaluation, and so far, she's been diagnosed with ADHD, depression, and histrionic personality disorder. The psychiatrists say that she might also have borderline personality disorder, but that would be determined better at the psych facility. I'm still low contact with my niece. I've only had one phone call with her in which I told her that I loved her and we're getting her help. Her therapist said to reinsert my presence in her life, but make no promises like, if you get help, we'll be okay, or something like that. She says since I've previously been a positive presence, it might help to have me in the background while she heals. She gave me suggestions for my background presence, like letters, phone calls, or visits if I feel like it. I am not to give her any gifts or rewards. I haven't decided which one to go with yet. I might just send a letter monthly. My sister did look through my niece's phone and found no NSFW pictures of me or my husband, but she did delete the streaming apps that my niece got access to. I know some people were worried about her taking those photos. I know she saw them though. My children are in therapy, both individual and family. My husband and I finally explained the entire thing in detail to them, including my struggles during my first pregnancy and how my niece's prank was a trigger. The therapist helped us facilitate the whole thing better. Niece's other siblings are in therapy now too. The oldest has since apologized for her texts and her harsh voicemails. We've also sent the kids to my in-laws for the next 3 weeks. Therapy will be online. I also blocked my mother on their phones. They are to speak to none of my relatives for now. My mother doubled down and started coming at my children via texts and calls. That's one of the reasons that we sent them away. My brother-in-law, niece's dad, broke down while she was still comatose and did a full 180. He left me a long voicemail saying that I was hurting his baby girl and ripping her away from him. I did not like him when he first started dating my sister, and he says I was using my niece to break him because I hated him. If something happens to her, he won't forgive me. This is a complete opposite of his stance before. I don't know if it's grief or his mum in his ears, but he is now at odds with his wife because she agrees with keeping the consequences that we all agreed on, but the husband says to relent. My family and my other sisters are trying to be her, niece's mum, support in every way that we can. I've had to completely cut my mother off from my family, including some of my aunts and uncles. My dad is divorced from my mother and lives on the other side of the country. He is on my side with this whole thing. I have 2 brothers, and they're both on my mum's side, while all of my sisters are on my side. My mother sent me a very devastating text that I'll just copy and paste here because I don't even know if I can explain it. OP, you are the most disgraceful child I have ever birthed. I curse the day that you were put in my arms. Your life will never know peace as long as you never give peace to your niece. You are so vile, and you will go to hell for causing this amount of harm to your sister's family. You are no daughter of mine, and I do not claim you. Do not call me your mother. Keep your unclean children away from me too. If you come close to me, I'll strangle you and feed you toilet cleaners, like how your niece attempted. What kind of mother sends this to her child? I took a screenshot, blocked that number, and printed off a copy of the text. This devil incarnate of a woman proceeded to email me 2 days later to tell me to send my share of the money for remodeling her house. Yeah, like a cursed child would do that. I simply blocked her email too. I don't even know why she called my children unclean. I had them all post-marriage with one man. This has been the longest month of my life, and it isn't even over yet. I had a panic attack the other day because of everything. This darling man that I'm married to has been my biggest rock and support. I genuinely do not know what I would do without him. How I would repay him for all of this, I do not know. I spend most of my days just crying. My mental health is suffering, my work is suffering, and I am just tired. I know this was super long, so if you've read all of this, thank you. Thank you for sticking with me and holding me up with your words and virtual presence. You all probably see this often, but I genuinely want to thank each and every one of you. I can't wait for all of this to be over so that I can get some normalcy back and be able to breathe well again. In the comments, Unzenjep says, "This is all horrible, and you are still not to blame for the niece's mental illness. It seems also that she has inherited some of it from your mother. She needs to have an evaluation too with the mean, crazy nonsense that she's dropping on you. Do not take it to heart. Be sad about all of the broken people, but don't let them blame you. OP says, my mother has never been this bad. She sometimes says crazy stuff. We used to just assume that she was bitter, especially after her divorce from our dad, but I agree that she has to have some sort of mental illness. Although that is no longer my business because she is dead to me. And Successful Bitch says, has your mom often made you feel less than compared to your other siblings? Because this blatant favoritism to every family member other than to you and your kids is appalling. And OP says, not really, but she usually favored my brothers over me and my sisters. I was the third sibling to have kids, so it didn't really mean much to her, and her relationship with my children is somewhat okay. They prefer their dad's parents though. She does show favoritism with my brother's kids though. Man, what do I even say after all of that? Like, that was an odyssey after an already emotionally charged first story to deal with. I still don't think that the niece's actions are the fault of OP. Like, don't blame yourself for what she chose to do. It's a terrible thing to happen, absolutely, but it's not OP's fault. OP didn't force her to do any of that. And to turn this entire situation around on her and send a text message like that to make OP just, I don't know, to make her do what? I don't know what the mum wanted her to do, to just give up on defending herself when the psych evaluation, the doctors, everyone has told her that what she is doing is the correct thing. Does the mum just want her to give up? Say, oh no, everything's actually all hunky-dory, and I'm gonna do the exact opposite of what the doctors told me to do, and hurt her even more. Yeah, that'd be such a smart thing, just so that you, my mother, can feel better about yourself, and like I'm doing the right thing in this situation. I don't know how OP comes back from this or recovers from a situation like this one. This is all incredibly damaging, and if I'm honest, this looks like a permanent scar on the family that is not going to heal. I don't think you can have a relationship with your mother after that. That came out of nowhere. She should have kept her words and her thoughts to herself and got help. But instead she decided to take it all out on OP when OP is not the one that did any wrong here. She's being scapegoated so hard and attacked so hard for this. What about what niece did to start all of this? Are we just going to forget all of that she tried to break up OP's marriage? Oh, so it's all forgiven now? Right, okay. No, I'm still on your side for this one, OP. I'm sorry that all of these things have happened to you, but genuinely, what can you do about it at this point? Besides, deal with the situation as is, recover what you can from those familial bonds that have been broken, and just give it time. Thank you for the story, thank you for the update. This was a lot. I hope it all continues to get better from here. My brother, 45 male, cut tie with my parents, 75 male, 70 female, and my family. Everyone but me. And I don't know what to do. How can I convey the situation to my mum? My parents have 3 sons and 1 daughter, while I am the youngest, 32 male. My eldest brother, John, 50 male, is by far the favorite child by my mother. My father doesn't express opinions often. When John was born, he had many health problems, so my mum practically lived with him in the hospital for the first year. Every time we talk about something, the topic changes to John. I can tell them that I have problems at work, and they'll be like, oh, John just solved his problems with his boss. Take advice from him. When talking to him, he says that nothing of the sort happened. My mum expedited a meeting that he had with his boss. It might be in my head, but I even had the feeling that she sometimes addresses my girlfriend Joanna as Jonah. John can treat our parents however he wants, yet they magically forget it after 2 days. When I was in college, my mum called me crying with enough urgency to ask me to leave class to take her call. Apparently, John was very mean to her. The day after, my mum gaslit me saying that it was nothing. Needless to say, there is never an apology from John. Except for my sister, Mary, 40 female, who holds a government position, and my parents, who are too old. All the other siblings moved to different countries. John to Europe, James to Canada, and me to Australia. My parents visit John in Europe about 3 times a year, for 2 to 3 weeks at a time in his country. They spend more time with John's family than with my sisters. They visited me and the second eldest, James, once. James moved to Canada about 6 years ago. My mother had a lot of problems with James and Mary. Ended up in couples therapy with both. Both times my mum claimed that their respective spouse is taking her child away from her and whispering mean things to them about her, etc., etc., while Mary had more emotional problems. Like mum doesn't love her as much as John, mum doesn't care about her children, mum keeps on alienating her spouse. James's problems were very monetary. He claimed that the parents gave him less money than to James, as well as babysit his kids less. As the last one to leave the nest, I had some more knowledge about my parents' finances, and I can say that except for one incident, which I will address later, my parents gave about $250,000 to John, about $300,000 to James, about $100,000 to Mary, and about $50,000 to me. I went back to grad school and am not married yet, so I didn't need much. In about 2010, my parents received a plot of land near their house and told all the children that if they wish to have it, they can, if they agree to the following rules. A. The building of the plot will be led and mainly financed by the child. B. The child will live in said plot and help take care of the parents, who were growing old and in increasing need of aid. Mary, who held a government position on the other side of the country, and me, who only just finished high school, were out of the picture. And James and John could not decide. James insisted that due to the high value of the land, that it needs to be sold and split between the siblings, while my parents said that it's a no-go. After 2 years of debating, John picked up the glove and built the house, later living in it for about 4 years before leaving the country due to work relocation. Not by choice, but that's another story. James felt, and still feels, robbed. The main incident happened half a year ago. My parents, who were still in need of aid, decided to buy a house in Europe next to John, claiming this is an investment for the future. When we will pass on, this house will be passed on to you, OP. While I live and plan on settling in Australia, which is in fact very far from Europe. When James heard about it, he blocked my parents. And a month ago, after he calmed down, he told me that he decided to cut ties with my parents, that he felt second best at most, that he couldn't shake the feeling that this animosity towards his wife continued for so long, and he's afraid to have the same treatment for his kids. He is also in therapy. My mother, on the other hand, is crying non-stop about reaching out to him, about trying to get back in touch, about seeing her grandkids. She asks about him every day, and I just don't know how to break it to her. The worst thing is that she does not accept blame or guilt. She constantly gaslights things about everything being his fault, etc., and now I'm stuck in the middle of this charade, and she acts as if trying to change her in her old age is some sort of a crime. How can I tell her, look, his life is better without you in it. It is your fault, and he cut you off knowingly. If you're ever to be given a second chance, you need to earn it. How can I convey the situation to my mum? Do you guys have any advice regarding solving this? Thank you in advance. In the comments, Sloshing Sloth says, say he blocked you because you never treated him the same and treated his wife badly. Over and over whenever she asks until she stops. With emphasis on the over and over again. People ask, how can I get my blank to understand blank all the time, and they want some perfect phrasing that will make the person react in an ideal way. You can't make another person understand something that doesn't fit with the way that they've chosen to see reality. You can just offer your version of reality, and maybe one day they'll accept it, maybe they won't. Mysterious Armor says, wow, it's a really hard situation. You shouldn't be forced to be their intermediate person. They are all adults, and they should resolve their own problems. It sucks to have these kinds of problems within the family, but if the interested parties are not trying to communicate properly and try to resolve the problem, there's not much you can do. I agree with this. Do not become the intermediate. Tell your brother and mum that you love them heaps and want to see them, but you will not discuss the other person with them. Shut down any conversation that starts. Be clear that they need to work this out. then you are not going to be jammed up with demands or get into any situations. I think that's some very good advice there, because if you do become the messenger, you unironically put your hand up to be shot. This is a situation where everyone will shoot the messenger on sight. Your mum is the one that's being unreasonable in this situation, and yes, you just have to keep repeating that, because your mum doesn't actually want to take responsibility or accountability. She just wants him to roll over and accept the bad treatment. You just gotta keep saying that. He blocked you because you never treated him the same way, and you treat his wife like shit. But I don't understand. What's happening? He blocked you because you never treated him the same way and treated his wife like shit. No, it doesn't make any sense. That can't be the truth. I'm sure we've all dealt with people like the mother in this situation that doesn't want to accept reality. They just don't. Because for them, cognitively, it is too much for them to work through the fact that it's their fault. Because they are the victim. How could they be the perpetrator? I was just doing what I've always been doing in my 70 years of life. So that's normal. It's normal that I do this. How could what I be doing be bad? It make no sense. Don't push back against my normal. My normal is good. That's actually how I interpret their brainwaves as they're trying to push back against the statement, he blocked you because you never treated him the same way and treated his wife badly. It literally just does not compute. Little Britain, computer says no, does not compute. And I know, OP, you want to convey that and get her to be on your side, but all it's going to do is turn everyone against you because you are getting intimately involved in a situation that should not involve you, I don't think. The only involvement I think you need is that continuous, surface-level, repeated message and nothing else. Because she will scapegoat you and she will start dumping her bullshit on you. I really genuinely believe that. Anyway, I'm curious to see how this all pans out. And now, on to the update. Thank you for your input and comments. Though I did not reply, I did read them all. Cutting ties with my parents is not an option for me, nor is it something that I intend on doing. So I wanted to give a little update. I've decided not to take any drastic measures and simply dismiss any time my parents try to probe me with, next time maybe. I don't know. We'll see, etc. Recently, as you may be surprised, the Middle East kept trying to off each other, and I felt like this was the first time James tried to probe about the family. They are all safe, thankfully. My mum keeps writing letters to James and sending it via mail. In these, she tries to guilt trip him into sending her information, such as pictures of his kids, etc., with wishes for him to soften his stone heart. Oh, Jesus. Kettle calling the pot black, huh? And every time I hear about this, I'm pissed time and time again. She keeps making everything all about herself, and there is so little, if any, care for him, how he is doing, and what happened between them. After the last time that she sent me one, I was pissed out loud, and I told her off, saying that if she keeps sending them to him, he will block her email as well. Something his friend slipped out. He does read them, or at least he did until 6 months ago. And she asked me, well, what letter would actually help? Can you show me? I immediately thought that this might be a golden opportunity to let her see herself from the outside and might be the only one in sight. So I agreed with one condition, that she would never send it. If she does decide that she likes it, she would have to write one herself, in her own words and her own interpretation. She was pissed. How dare I claim she might do such a thing? Such blatant plagiarism, etc., etc. She might have said more in the moment, but I just couldn't care less. And it's not as if she would do such things, would she? So after working with a friend who was married to a Skyrim character, love you, Shargak. What? That's so weird. May you have a lovely bunch of orcish humanoids in your future, we wrote the letter. James, I wanted to apologize for everything. The image of our conversations hurting you for all these years is so painful. In addition to the idea that you feel the need to protect yourself from us, your own parents. I cannot undo what has been done up until now, but I can apologize, try to change, and maybe, slowly, we might be able to heal what is broken. Yet I cannot do it without your help. I know our actions made you feel unequal, that John is the priority, and I am so sorry for that. We have no such will or feeling, and I apologize that our actions caused you to feel like that. We have a very difficult time being disconnected from you, your kids, your wife. In addition, I would like to apologize to your wife. Her addition to our lives, including you drifting apart from us, and a lot of this frustration ended up against her with no fault of her own. And for this, we are sorry. As, thanks to her, we received our wonderful grandkids to which we can only be thankful. I daily think about A, B, and C, which are the grandkids' names, and wholeheartedly wish to have some sort of relationship with them. Next year, OP's wedding will take place where we are going to meet. I would like to meet you there in a positive manner so as to allow OP the peace of his special day. He does not deserve that our situation will darken one of his most important days of his life, especially with the current situation in our country. This day is not ours. It is his, and we need to make sure that he is the center of this occasion. We need to make this day work, not only for him, but for us as well. Yes, this paragraph is egocentric AF by me, but I wanted to make sure that A, she is well aware about this, B, I will not tolerate any shenanigans in my wedding, FFS, and if I'm the one writing, then might as well. I do not wish to go back to our previous relationship. I wish to recreate and reconstruct a new one in which I can assure you your importance to me, in a way that will be acceptable for both sides, in a constructive and enriching manner, and would love your help rebuilding it. Love, Mum. After writing it, I kept it to myself until my mother raised the topic again, which took about a month. As we were talking about it, I reminded her of my one rule, to which she responded, yeah, we already talked about it, and I sent it to her. After reading it, she told me that I'm a wonderful son and that she is happy to have me. She said that she has read it and understands, and now understands my position about this better. Huh? Of course, I didn't tell her that I'm not the only one who wrote it, but I let her think whatever she wants. She said she agrees with everything but the paragraph about his wife, which she will continue to hate because of ... I checked out in this part. I know about all the incidents, none are only the fault of the wife, and other than that part, she agrees, and thinks about erasing it and sending it to him as is. I was pissed, and I lost it at her. Literally one condition, and she pisses all over it. I told her that if she does anything of the sort, she could kiss my help goodbye from now on, and I was much less nice. She backtracked and said she was kidding. We both know she was not, and I told her to watch out. She started going to a shrink once again. She tried before and stopped after 3 times the most. My guess is that she couldn't stand the mirror and preferred closing her eyes to it. But this time she will be persistent. It lasted 4 times. She wrote another letter. About a month later, more of the same previous guilt trips, took absolutely nothing from my letter, for better or for worse. When I told her to look at the differences and see for herself, she says, yours was ingratiating while mine was not. And with this, my hope was lost. And with this, I'm going back to my previous bubblehead mode and stonewalling every time they talk about him. The memorial for my hope with this subject will be held at the next Milwaukee Brewers game. Bring beers. Regarding myself, we sent the papers and are now officially husband and wife. I am the luckiest man alive. The ceremony will only take place next year, and have already instructed my friends in hopes to block any chance of mischief from my mum. Thank you for all of your help. In the comments, Don't139 says, congrats on your wedding. However, the letter that you wrote is still full of guilt trips, half apologies, and not so much taking accountability. It basically says, we didn't mean it that way, and this won't fly because they did mean it that way. Moreover, your mum is the one doing all the reflection and talking, so it should only be about how she feels, not about both parents, so no we. She needs to acknowledge how unfairly that she has treated him. All of you, really, because even if you don't harbor as much resentment, you too were slighted. Trying to dress it up as just intense being misconstrued won't land, because it's playing your brother for a fool. Even a blind guy would see the intense. Edit to add, guilt trips galore in the paragraph about you. It's basically saying that they should make up so that you have a good day, and that if they don't, which would be on your brother, as your mother is trying to reach out and he refuses, he would make your day about him. Reading this part coming from either of you or your mother, this is guilt tripping. OP replies, "Thank you for your comment. I respect your opinion and am grateful for your input. In regards to the we part, I was thinking about which parts are also correct about my father and which not, but in the end, my father's actions were a part of placing mum as the representing figure of both. Now, in regards to the half apologies, I respectfully disagree. There is an immense difference between I'm sorry you feel this way and I'm sorry my actions caused you to feel this way. Not dissimilar to the difference of I'm sorry your foot broke to I'm sorry my driving caused your foot to break. The truth is that they don't do that out of malice, but out of negligence. And the first step would have to be our actions cause other people to feel X, maybe something is wrong. A foot in the door. Giving her a letter of full admission of guilt of someone who does not acknowledge or realize the problem will not be worth the digital ink that it's written on, and if used, will only be used as deception. Regarding the wedding paragraph, the difference between peace and truce is the key. Needs to be said, this one was written more for her than for him, because as stated, she was supposed to write her own and not send this one. In the end, all of it doesn't matter. She wanted to send him a letter with, "You chose your own parents. Ones that did not raise you or woke up in the middle of the night to change you, didn't treat you when you were sick, and also stopped going to the shrink. So this was all in vain." Don't 139 replies, "I know the difference, and 100% caught that you made the distinction, but what I think you don't fully understand is how little way that would go with your brother. You were writing this letter to try and ease your mother into accepting accountability, not writing a letter that actually addresses what your brother needed to hear. It was not the kind of letter that would have been enough for him to actually try to salvage any relationship. So she would have done all that work in accepting that accountability, in her mind, having to swallow her pride, and would still have been rejected, and this would have pushed her even further away from accountability. Sugarcoating things the way that you did for her is not going to help her. Also, most people don't mistreat or abuse out of malice, but out of neglect and narcissism. Narcissists do not actually understand how much hurt and pain that they inflict because they are not feeling it themselves. It doesn't negate the results. Your mother shows those kinds of tendencies. Just because she didn't try to hurt him on purpose doesn't mean that she's a good mother or that she deserves grace. At one point, she knew that it would hurt him, but it didn't matter because what matters is what she wants. Not in a malicious way, just with the idea that people will get over it. Also, just a note on your brother's issues with your mom. You said that they were mainly monetary, as opposed to your sister's, mainly emotional. But I think that the issues that your brother has are emotional. But men are taught that emotions should not be registered for them, so he points to a pattern, monetary, rather than to the cause, emotional. Potter was my first love says, "Keep an eye out that you don't turn into your mother as you grow older. You have a similar don't rock the boat mentality." And OP replies, "My mother has no don't rock the boat mentality. The opposite. She will flip the boat to keep her position as top of the pyramid, and this is why she never acknowledges that there is a problem in the way that she acts. I believe you study from your parents two things, what to do and what not to do. And my mother teaches me a lot in the second part." Guys, I want to know, is there any hope for OP in this one? I genuinely don't feel like OP is listening to what the commenters are saying. There's more comments here, but it's just a lot of back and forth, and it's a lot more of OP showing this same mentality of, I don't think OP is listening either. And OP said in that one, "I believe you studied two things, what to do and what not to do. My mother teaches me a lot in the second part." The way that OP says that tells me that they are learning what not to do, right? But in the same breath, they are emulating their mother's actions by not listening to what the commenters have to say. Oh my god. Maybe OP needs to take some accountability for what they put in that letter and recognize that yes, it was a bit narcissistic of me to do that and make it about me. Which is why I'll go back to my initial response to this. Why the hell are you getting involved this intimately in this issue? You should know these people well enough that it's just not going to happen. Why are you trying to get it to happen? I think the best that OP could have done in this situation would be to stonewall and get them to come to an agreement on his wedding day that they will not actively ruin it. That's what this should have been about, because that's what the letter focused on. I don't get how OP is so dense to not realize that the way they worded that letter actually was just going to make things worse, because yes, the mum is this person that flips the pyramid, flips the table, and she gets to her position on top of the pyramid, and she's stuck in her ways. But OP forcing her to, for once, have some shame and admit that she did something wrong and try to rebuild that relationship, but also not acknowledging that this is not the proper way to get the brother on side, and the brother will reject her because he doesn't believe that it's authentic. Well, yeah, it will cause the mother to react in a much worse way, and she will double down and be like, well, I tried. I did it for once. I was humble, and what do I get in return? I get spit in the face of. I'm just going to blow this up even more, and I'm going to double down and tell the wife of my son that she is the worst human imaginable. So, OP was heavily downvoted for a lot of these comments. I don't blame the community for downvoting them. The message is not getting through. OP says they're not much like their mother, but I think they are quite like their mother because they will not take advice and action the advice. It's just like, well, I don't care what you people have to say. I'ma do my own thing. Alright, OP, you can live that way if you like. Good luck with that. Am I the asshole for siding with my son in an argument with my wife? For some background, I have a son, Max, 18 male, with my ex, and a stepdaughter, Kelly, 21 female. My wife, Jamie, and I share a daughter, 7 female. Since we got married 8 years ago, I have put equal amounts of money towards college and things like a car for Max and Kelly. The amount I saved was enough for Kelly to live at home and go to a local state school. The amount that I put away for a car was just enough to buy a very old used car that would run, but not much more. While I have put equal money away for the both of them over the last 8 years, Max also has access to money from my ex and my ex's parents. So, he got a brand new full-sized SUV when he turned 16. His mum paid for it, and it's in her name. She also pays the insurance. In the fall, he will be going to college out in California. We live in the Midwest. He has also been across the world with his mum. Kelly wants to travel, but doesn't have the money to do so. And because of these things, there has been some jealousy from stepdaughter towards my son. Additionally, Kelly has a set of 6 friends who she's been super close to the whole 10 years that I've known her. Now onto the situation. Early last week, I was out of town for work. Jamie, with our youngest, was visiting her sister. Kelly and Max were the only people at home. The youngest of Kelly's close friend group, who also recently got engaged, Annie, turned 21 last week. A lot of them were only in town through last week because they are starting internships this week. The group wanted to get together and celebrate Annie's birthday and engagement. Kelly asked to use Max's car so they could be in one vehicle for the night. Kelly said she would not be drinking and would be the designated driver. Max told her no. Max usually goes to bed at around 9:30ish. He went to bed, and Kelly took his keys and took the car. Around midnight, he woke up to use the bathroom and saw the car was gone. He got on the app and showed the location of the car. He got his spare keys, took an Uber to the location, got in the car, and drove it home. A couple of hours later, Kelly called Max frantic. She told him the car might have been stolen. One of the other girls was on the phone with the police. Max told her, no, the car's at home. He came and got it. She then said, how was she supposed to get home? He told her that was her to figure out and hung up. Kelly does not use rideshare because of a creepy experience a couple of years ago that left her a bit traumatized. Kelly called Jamie and told her about the situation. Jamie called Max and demanded he pick her up. He refused. Jamie called me and told me about the situation and told me to make Max pick her up. I told her that Max is in the right and that I'm not going to make him pick her up. Kelly got home, but it took an hour of calling around so everyone could be picked up. When my wife and I got back home a few days later, we had a family discussion about it. Jamie asked that both Kelly and Max apologize to each other. Max refused because he did nothing wrong. Kelly got upset and said Max gets everything while she gets nothing. I told Kelly that if she feels what her mother and I have worked and sacrificed to give her is nothing, then she's free to not take our money to pay tuition in the fall, and she can move out at any time. Jamie is pissed at me and thinks that I need to make Max apologize, and I need to apologize to Kelly for what I said. I refuse. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Medical Mountain says, she's lucky he didn't call the police. Max didn't do anything wrong. In fact, he was nicer than I would have been. Life isn't always fair. The sooner we learn it, the better. Used Clock says, the 18-year-old was far more mature than the 21-year-old. Princess Bella says, not the asshole. You need to make it clear to your wife that her daughter stole your son's car that was under his mother's name and that she's lucky that the police weren't called. Max has nothing to apologize for. I understand that it sucks for Kelly seeing all the things that Max gets, but she's not entitled to them, and if she wants better things, she has to work for them. As far as the police are concerned, OP's stepdaughter stole his ex-wife's car. She might as well have stolen it directly from the ex-wife's house, since she didn't have permission to drive it from the title owner or the authorized party. For me personally, I don't understand the logic of blaming Max and blaming OP for this situation. They're just choosing to ignore the fact that she stole the car? Kelly started this. Kelly put herself in a shit situation, knowing that she had no other alternatives if shit hit the fan. Kelly only has herself to blame, and then she's trying to use everything that happened before this as justification? Like, no, stop shifting the goalposts. That's not how this works. Oh, look, yeah, I know I stole the car and everything, but like, what about the round-the-world trip that Max got to do with your ex-wife? How is that fair to me? I should be allowed to steal the car. In fact, you're the asshole for me stealing the car and putting me out. That's what the argument sounds like. It's nonsensical. Look, I deserve just as many good things as Max has the privilege of getting, so, it's his fault that I stole his car. Like, no! What are we doing here? Stop with this roundabout bullshit logic and just accept the fact that your actions have consequences. Not the asshole, OP. I would continue to double down on this one. You're facing delusion as it stands. And now, on to the update. A couple of days ago, Kelly asked Max to use his car to pick up a TV that she had bought. Before the incident in the original post, on a few occasions, Max had used his car to help Kelly transport something. Max refused Kelly's request and told her that he will not be helping with things like that in the future. As he should. Kelly talked to Jamie, and Jamie just matter-of-fact told Kelly that this was a consequence of her actions that she needed to learn to deal with. That went over about as well as a lead balloon. Kelly got pissed at Jamie and said she's moving out and she does not need our money. Jamie said she was incredibly ungrateful and selfish, but told her that she was free to leave. So, Kelly is planning on being gone by July 1st. In the comments, me, HungWhiteBoy25, says, I still can't get over the fact that this brat stole your son's car. Then when he took it back, her and her mother somehow thought he was the bad guy? OP, you were not the asshole in the first post, and you're not the asshole now. I am curious though, what brought on the change from your wife? Unfortunately, OP never answers HungWhiteBoy25's question. Can we get some justice for hung white men? Cherry Block Red Wine says, this is the question, OP. What happened to help your wife see the light? She wanted Max to apologize in your last post. I assume some time and better clarification on the order and specifics of events may have made her realize that the son took the least damaging option in response to Kelly's actions. Some people have either been protected from consequences their entire life or arrived at the viewpoint that they were due an undeserved level of pampering. It often takes a rather hard vibe check from reality to remind them that they ain't special. While this might be true, she needs to be asked exactly why, if the car was his, she thinks, or did think, why he did not get to take it back. Every time, and I mean every time she tries to redirect, and she will, remind her that that wasn't the question. The question being, why does she feel that it being his car means that she can just take it? She redirects. That doesn't address that the car is his. Rinse and repeat as necessary. Mindless Dependent says, respectfully, I don't think his wife changed her mind. I don't think she agreed with what the daughter did or thought that her daughter was in the right. She was just trying to make sure that her daughter got home safely. It's obvious from what she said to her daughter afterwards, in this update, that she does believe that her daughter deserves consequences to her actions and is now receiving them. I think that tracks as well. It makes sense that in the moment she's like, well, there really is no other option to get her home. My first priority is getting the daughter home right now, and if I have to rock the boat and force Max to rock the boat, that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll deal with her afterwards. We're not exactly getting the wife's stance on all of this from the horse's mouth, but I'd imagine that's the case because it tracks with the wife's actions in this update. And yeah, the two parents being away, not being able to go get her would be very frustrating in the moment, I understand that, but this is a part of growing up, learning that if you put yourself out, people aren't going to be there to save you. You gotta have a backup plan. You choose not to have a backup plan and you choose to steal someone's car, you're a fucking idiot. Knowing that no one else has your ass, that is so stupid. And then she's retaliating by being like, "Nuh-uh, I don't need your money. I don't need any of that. I'm gonna go live by myself." Yeah, this is gonna go down so well. Shooting my foot to spite my nose. I'm a smart individual. Good luck to her, I say. I really wish the best for her. If she's at a point right now where she can't arrange transport to pick up a TV that she's purchased for herself, God have mercy on her when she cuts the apron strings and is completely independent. Thank you for the story, OP. Good luck with her.